industrial growth. Belagavi boasts of industries operating in the fields of mining, sugar, engineering, hydraulics, toys, handloom, among others. The advantage of being located in the middle of Bangalore, Mumbai region is actually a big plus for this growth. Well, of late, now the things have started to seeing a change globally. Things were not always like this, but now they have started to see a change globally. What may have worked earlier is not working now. What's the reason behind it? The reason is the changing geopolitical dynamics, supply chain challenges, technological advancements, and growing demand for greener practices. Now, for example, can a hydraulic or an engineering firm based out of Belagavi afford to remain in silo anymore? My answer is not any longer. Well, I won't take much of your time and won't give you much of my gyan, but what I can do is I can share some of my experiences. Being a journalist with over a decade of experience, I had covered many other industries, and MSME is one of them. I would just like to make two of the major points here. And it's coming from my heart. I won't look into the script and talk to you directly. As you all know that it is into the cities, in different cities of the country, and we have a mission and an initiative to reach as many possible MSMEs and to find out what their problems are. For example, in terms of the finance, they are not getting easy finance, technological advancements, some problems related to logistics. All these things require money, Now, what happened with me was in the run-up to this whole event that we are having today, while we were doing many stories. I myself was involved in many such stories, industrial stories around the MSMEs in the Belagavi city. We were doing the stories from particular standpoint with a particular view. But what happened when I arrived here yesterday morning, along with my colleague Shalini, we went through the different clusters of MSMEs in the city, and we even reached Hubli. What we found, there were many other problems, apart from the financing, technology, many other problems that were very unique to the city. And these kind of problems exist everywhere, in every cluster, in every city of the country. So we realized that there are many other things that we can only come to know, along with the other countrymen of ours, even the policymakers, if we go to the ground and cover these MSMEs. Now, I had some interactions. I would like to take some names. I interacted with Mr. C.C. Hondakati, President Belagavi Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Sridhar Open, CEO, Positron. I hope he will come here if he's not here already. Mr. Baswaraji from BJ Industry, in the morning I contacted him. Then I had a very insightful talk with Mr. Karthik, CEO of Deshpande Startups. I learned many new things. Trust me, when I go back to Delhi, I'll be doing the stories around Belagavi with some different viewpoints, and I would be putting forward the challenges and focusing on the challenges that the city is facing at the moment. And I also promise one thing, I'll assure you that though we have done a lot of stories on Belagavi along with other cities as well, but it's not the last. We have just started and we will do much more. I can only assure you the stories on Belagavi's industrial ecosystem will not stop here. We'll come up with much more holistic and insightful pieces going ahead. And the last thing that I want to focus on is, it's very important for us, being economic times, it takes a pride, and we are very serious when it comes to highlighting the challenges of MSMEs in the country. We strive through our pen not only to provide a platform to MSMEs in this regard, but we also help them explore new opportunities. Just to bring it to an end, I want to reiterate, at Economic Times every year, we handpick such unique businesses and feature them for the MSME Day special series, detailing their strengths, challenges, and opportunities in store. We follow this up with mega ET MSME Awards at the end of every year, which recognize the best of MSMEs in varied categories such as innovative, fastest growing, top performing. At the end, I once again extend a warm welcome to you all and hope to interact with many more people during and after the session. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ashish. It's so heartening to know that the Economic Times gives a great platform and a voice for the MSME sector. But when you find the right partners, you find a lot of solutions to your challenges as well. Now, I would like to introduce the one person that all of you are looking to interact with and hear during the day today. I'm talking about none other than Mr. Sudatta Mandal, the DMD SIDBI. A quick introduction of Mr. Mandal. He joined as Deputy Managing Director, Small Industries Development Bank of India, SIDBI in May 2021. Before joining SIDBI, he was the Chief General Manager and the Chief Financial Officer of the Export-Import Bank of India, the Exim Bank. He has experience of more than 25 years across different verticals: assets, liability, risk management, compliance, and strategy. In Exim Bank, including more than 20 years of operational experience in international trade and investment finance, project finance, SME lending, including cluster finance, trade finance, and cross-border development finance. He is a BTech in electrical engineering from IIT Kanpur and holds a postgraduate diploma in management with specialization in finance from IIM Kolkata. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome on stage Mr. Sudatta Mandal, DMD SIDBI. He will deliver the keynote address on the theme of building Karnataka's startup hub, SIDBI's role in shaping the next decade, and unveil insights regarding SIDBI's schemes for MSMEs. Please welcome him on stage with a round of applause.
Thank you, Anisha. I'm not a very good speaker. I have a prepared address. I'm going to use that, but hopefully I'll be able to intersperse this with some of my own insights, since I'm told that I have enough time today. Fine. Am I audible at the back? Great. So, respected dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, wish you all a very good evening. I'm supposed to be talking on building Karnataka's startup hub. SIDBI's activities include support to these startups. That is one part of our activities. A whole host of financial and non-financial support is provided by SIDBI to the SMEs in the country, being the apex financial institution for the SMEs. And my colleagues after me, I'm sure, are going to highlight many of those products and services that we have on offer. But I will specifically focus on what we do for the startups. The Government of India's push towards startups and entrepreneurship is coming to fruition. The multitude of measures undertaken by the Government of India have enabled a thriving startup ecosystem, with India emerging as the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. The Government of India launched the Startup India initiative in 2016 for nurturing innovation, startups, and encouraging investments in the startup ecosystem of the country. As part of the initiative, the action items spanned across areas such as simplification and handholding, funding support and incentives, and industry-academia partnership and incubation. As a result of the efforts by the Government of India, India is now home to over 1.1 lakh DPIIT registered startups across 763 districts of the country, with nearly 50% of the startups having base in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. So that is a very important development in the startup ecosystem in the country, that not only the so-called startup hubs like Bengaluru or Mumbai or the NCR, but in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities also, we are seeing a lot of proliferation of the startups, and there are multiple AIFs or alternate investment funds who are very active in these Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. I'll be quoting some statistics to you later as I go along. As we all know, startups have also contributed to employment generation of over 2.7 lakh jobs so far. Entrepreneurial ventures often face the challenge of availability of funds or capital. This is particularly essential for enterprises at the early stages of growth. However, funding from angel investors and venture capital firms becomes available to startups generally after the proof of concept has been provided and accepted. Similarly, banks provide loans largely to asset-backed applicants. Hence, there was a perceptible gap in funding needs of the startups. Here, the government initiatives such as the Fund of Funds for Startups, the Startup India Seed Fund Scheme, and Credit Guarantee Scheme for Startups, or CGSS, support startups at various stages of their business cycle to enable them graduate to a level where they are able to raise investments from angel investors or venture capitalists, or seek loans from commercial banks or financial institutions. The government also implements annual exercises and programs, including the state's startup ranking, National Startup Awards, and Innovation Week, which play an important role in holistic development of the startup ecosystem. Now, to expand a bit on the above interventions, the Fund of Funds for Startups, or FFS, having a corpus of 10,000 crore, was launched by DPIIT in 2016-17. It is being managed by SIDBI. SEBI-registered alternate investment funds, AIFs, are supported under the FFS, which in turn invest in the various startups. So this is a mother-daughter fund concept. It is a fund of funds supported, set up by the DPIIT, which we administer. We provide contribution or investment in alternate investment funds, who in turn invest in startups. The primary requirement is that whatever quantum of commitment SIDBI makes in these AIFs, minimum twice that amount they have to necessarily invest in startups. The remaining corpus they can invest in the non-startups as well. But the figures which I will quote that subsequently, tells us that the investment in startups is significantly more than the minimum 2 times mandatory requirement. And this tells us that this asset class has now graduated to a profit-making or a return-oriented asset class, and it is not just playing lip service or doing charity that just because you have to take a checkbox and do investment in startups minimum twice the amount of investment made by SIDBI, that this kind of investment is happening. But actually, it makes commercial sense for the AIFs to invest in these startups, and that's why we are seeing such significant investments in the startups by the AIFs. Under the FFS, total 129 AIFs have been supported. The AIFs supported under FFS have invested 17,534 crore in 938 startups so far, out of which more than 2,036 crore has been invested in 110 startups, which are women-led or women-focused. In the state of Karnataka, a total of 32 AIFs have been given commitments aggregating 18,322 crore. So far, 297 startups have been assisted by these AIFs, and 5,971 crore have been invested in these startups. Under the Fund of Funds for Startups, a diverse mix of tech, impact, and specific sectors focused AIFs, such as in health, health tech, deep tech, financial services, etc., have been supported. The AIFs are also diversified across the enterprise stage of target investee companies, such as pre-seed, seed stage, mid-growth stage, and mature stage startups. Now, just before this session started, I was speaking to Shalini, and she happened to make a blasphemous statement, perhaps inadvertently, saying that perhaps the Fund of Funds for Startups has not been fully deployed. And I informed her that SIDBI was given the mandate to deploy this 10,000 crore corpus by March 2026. And before December 2023, we have been able to commit more than 10,000 crore, which means the entire corpus has been committed. Now, someone may question that how come you have invested more than 10,000 when the corpus itself is 10,000. Now, when I joined this organization, I realized that there were certain startups who have been, there were certain AIFs who have been committed funds out of the FFS, but they were not able to utilize those funds in catalyzing capital from other investors, raising the entire corpus of money and start investing. So there was a long gap between the commitment given by SIDBI and the utilization of the commitment by the AIFs. So we started a process with the approval of DPIIT of weeding out such inactive commitments or undrawn commitments, and that has freed up some more money to us for further commitments in the AIFs. That is the reason why we have been able to commit more than 10,000 crore out of the corpus of 10,000 crore. Now, I had said that I will be mentioning some additional statistics which I would like to share with you on the FFS. Now, under the FFS, the support that we have given, over 2 lakh jobs have been created. As I mentioned earlier, 2,037 crore has been invested in 110 women-led startups. See, the whole purpose of setting up the FFS by DPIIT was to attract domestic investment in the venture capital industry in the country. Because still a few years back, India was largely dependent on overseas capital or global capital coming in the venture capital sector, because that is considered to be a high-risk sector. It was still not, at that point of time, not an acceptable asset class for the domestic investors. So the primary objective of FFS was to attract domestic capital into this sector. And we are happy to say that we have been able to play that catalyzing role. Today, a lot of domestic capital is flowing into this sector. And we have been the anchor investor in 74 AIFs. 38 AIFs are first-time fund managers. So this FFS has also helped in creating first-time fund managers who have come into the segment, and they are now starting investment in these startups. While the portfolio is relatively new, because the investment cycle is still on in most of the AIFs that we have supported under the FFS, however, they are tracking an IRR of more than 20% today. The winner startups are showcasing over 10 times increase in the valuation. And I'm happy to share with you that out of the startups that have been funded under the FFS program, 23 of them have already turned unicorns. Okay? So we have the likes of Big Basket, ShareCat, Lenskart, MyGlam, Licious, Acco, I can just name them, Mama Earth. Okay? There's so many of them. There are more than 23 unicorns that we have already created. And since I was talking about the catalyzation effect of the FFS, generally we invest or we commit up to 15% of the drawable corpus in any fund, which means that we have been able to catalyze more than 7 times the investment that we have made through domestic capital into this entire startup ecosystem. So that is a huge achievement for the FFS, and I'm told it is one of the most successful programs of the Government of India. To encourage flow of funds to startups, the Government of India has established the Credit Guarantee Scheme for startups for providing credit guarantees to loans extended to DPIIT recognized startups by scheduled commercial banks, non-banking finance companies, and the venture debt funds of SEBI registered AIFs. CGSS is aimed at providing credit guarantee up to a specified limit against loans extended by member institutions to finance eligible borrowers. CGSS is operated by the National Credit Guarantee Trustee Company Limited, or NCGTC. Under the Startup India Seed Fund Scheme, Government of India provides assistance to startups for proof of concept, product trials, market entry, commercialization, etc. through eligible incubators. Preference is extended to startups creating innovative solutions in various sectors including social impact, financial inclusion, energy, education, etc. Thus, seed funding to innovative businesses can have a multiplier effect in validation of business ideas of many startups, leading to employment generation and a thriving startup ecosystem. With the above startup landscape in view, SIDBI has aligned itself with the ethos of the Government of India in nurturing the startup ecosystem. Apart from managing the fund of funds for startups, we at SIDBI are fostering a more startup-friendly environment and are working towards improving access in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. Towards this objective, SIDBI has co-developed the Startup India Investor Connect portal under the Startup India initiative that serves as an intermediary platform linking startups and investors in order to help entrepreneurs from various industries, functions, stages, regions, and backgrounds in mobilizing capital. The portal has been built with the aim to enable, in particular, early-stage startups located anywhere in the country to showcase themselves to leading investors, venture capital funds. Thus, the portal democratizes access to funding by startups across India. So this is essentially a matchmaking portals where both the startups who are seeking funding from the investors and the investors can onboard. There is a curation which happens by the portal whereby a curated list of startups is then presented to the potential investors. And if the investment thesis of these investors matches with the startups' activities, then the investors can get in touch with these startups who have registered themselves on the portal and have a bilateral discussion and negotiation with them. The transaction actual deal flow actually happens online. But as I mentioned, this is primarily a matchmaking portal where all the startups and all the investors, potential investors, have onboarded that. So the idea was to bring together the investors and the startups onto a common platform. And I mentioned the word democratizing the access to capital. It actually helps in democratizing access to capital because the investors or the AIFs are concentrated in the main cities or the main hubs like the Delhi NCR region or Mumbai or Bengaluru, as I mentioned earlier. Some of them are also operating in the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, but not all of them. And there are many startups in the hinterlands, in the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, in the smaller towns, who are in need of funds, they find it very difficult to approach these investors for funding. So this platform which we have created, or portal that we have created for DPIIT, serves as that platform for matchmaking, wherein the investors, even from the hinterlands, can come onto this portal and seek funding from the investors. SIDBI has also been organizing frequent startup outreach programs in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, where startups are guided by top VC thought leaders for creating sustainable businesses. Further, local startups are also given the opportunity to provide pitching of their venture to the AIFs supported by SIDBI. In the recent past, programs have been organized in Rajkot, Indore, Roorkee, Bhubaneswar, Guwahati, and Lucknow. Recognizing the temporary liquidity constraints faced by startups between two rounds of funding by AIFs, SIDBI introduced special scheme for extending venture debt to startups. Under the scheme, SIDBI is extending venture debt to MSME startups that have been supported by venture capital funds or AIFs who would otherwise not be eligible for conventional debt support. Financial assistance in the form of term loan is being sanctioned to eligible enterprises in various sectors. SIDBI has so far sanctioned 248 crore to 38 companies under the above scheme. Now, one of the interesting features of the venture debt provided by SIDBI, and which distinguishes itself from the other venture debt providers or the AIFs who provide venture debt, is that being a development financial institution, we are not purely profit-oriented or commercially oriented. And that is the reason why we do not insist on an equity kicker. Generally, when the venture debt providers, the AIFs provide venture debt to these startups, they add an equity kicker, which means that you get equity warrants issued in your favor, and as when the company goes for the next round of funding, these equity warrants are then exercised, and the upside on the equity is also taken by the venture debt providers. This, at the end of the day, actually dilutes the equity holding of the promoters or the founders of the startup. And therefore, that is one of the concerns or pain points for the smaller startups who want venture debt financing. So SIDBI, being a DFI, a development financial institution, does not insist on the equity kicker when we provide venture debt funding to these startups. Among the key pillars of the startup infrastructure are the incubation centers. These incubation centers provide necessary support for nurturing startup ideas. SIDBI took initiatives to collaborate with leading incubation centers in the country and provides seed capital corpus support for investing in viable and scalable startup incubatees in these incubation centers. So one of the unique components, again, if you see the incubation center landscape in the country, most of the incubation centers are provided funding by way of grants by various ministries and various departments of the ministries. A significant portion of this grant actually goes towards creating the infrastructure for the incubation centers, and very little of that actually goes towards monetary support or investment in these incubating companies or the startups. And even if it goes, the checks written by these incubation centers are small, in the range of 20,000 to 50,000 rupees per incubating company, which quite often does not meet their requirement. If they have a good business idea which they need to develop and therefore make it commercial, they need a bit more, larger ticket size or check size for funding their requirements. Sensing this gap in the seed stage funding sector, SIDBI started a program or a program with IIT Kanpur, where we set up a corpus with the IIT Kanpur Incubation Center, and we are treating the Incubation Center in IIT Kanpur as kind of a fund manager for SIDBI. They will do the curation, they will do the assessment of the incubating companies who come to the incubation centers and shortlist the deserving startups or incubating companies where investments can be made, and then they can make equity investment in those entities in return for a very small fraction of the total capital on behalf of SIDBI, and they will hold these shares in trust for SIDBI. Now, to ensure that the incubation centers also have a skin in the game, they are required to invest a very small token amount of, say, 5 lakh or 10 lakh in equity of the same incubating companies where we invest, and also to ensure that the incubation center continues to handhold these startups till they reach the next round of fundraise. Whatever capital gains we make out of liquidating our equity investments, a certain percentage of that is shared with the incubation center, which effectively in the startup parlance is called a carry. So we have set up a carry structure also with the incubation center, where a part of the capital gains will be shared with the incubation center. In addition to that, we also are providing a small grant support to these incubation center for meeting their day-to-day operating expenses, which is similar to the management fee which you would have otherwise provided to a fund manager. Right? So we started this with a corpus of 10 crore with the incubation center in IIT Kanpur. And this again was a deviation or a departure from the traditional grant-based financing that these incubation centers got, because we wanted to bring in a lot more discipline into the funding and make it a commercial venture and a profit-oriented venture, so that the accountability is also more for the incubation centers. This concept was accepted very well by the industry, and thereafter we started getting requests from many other incubation centers for setting up a similar corpus with them. As of today, we have set up corpuses with 16 such incubation centers in the country. Not only the premium incubation centers, as in IIT Kanpur, IIM Calcutta, IIM Ahmedabad, ISC Bangalore, IIT Delhi, but in other academic institutions as well. The last one which we did was with SNDT University in Mumbai, right, which is mainly for women-led or women-oriented startups. Now, as I was mentioning to Shalini, there is now a great focus on the startups in the defense sector. As part of the Atmanirbhar campaign for the defense sector, for the indigenization of technology in the defense sector, a lot of focus is being given on the startups and SMEs who are developing products and prototypes for the requirements of the armed forces. So there's an organization called IDEX, which is looking into partnering with these startups and SMEs who are going to develop products for the defense forces. They run challenges, which is called the Defense India Challenge. And the SMEs and startups who win these challenges are provided a grant support by IDEX for developing the product. And once the product clears the trials by the defense forces, then there is an assured order of the product from the defense forces. Right? Now, just to ensure that the startups or the SMEs do not take the grant support from IDEX, and then they are not sincere in developing the product, and even if it doesn't pass the trials of the defense force, they would not care and use the same product for the civilian uses. To avoid that kind of a situation, IDEX requires these startups and the SMEs to come up with a matching contribution. So if IDEX, for example, is given a grant of 50 lakh or 1 crore to a particular startup who has won the challenge, it requires the founder of that startup or SME to also bring in a matching contribution of 50 lakh or 1 crore. Now, many of these SMEs and startups are finding it difficult to bring in that matching contribution. And they were looking up to, and the Defense Ministry was, wondering whether SIDBI can somehow help these entities, because they are not able to bring in the matching contribution, and therefore the development of the product is getting delayed. So we felt that this found a perfect fit with the product that we have set up with the incubation centers, where we are investing in the equity of these startups through the incubation centers. And incidentally, all these startups and SMEs who win the challenges of IDEX are referred by IDEX to these very same incubation centers, because they also have tie-ups with these prominent incubation centers. So we thought this would be a win-win situation and a perfect fit for us. And we started talking to these incubation centers of utilizing this corpus for investing in the equity of such defense startups. One of the challenges, of course, which was that as per their bylaws and their scheme guidelines, they cannot invest in the equity of an entity which is not officially registered as an incubatee with that incubation center. And all these startups and the SMEs who are referred by IDEX to these incubation centers prefer not to get registered officially as an incubatee company with these incubation centers, primarily because once you get yourself registered, you are required to provide sweat equity to the incubation center in lieu of the services that they provide to you. And that leads to, again, a dilution in their shareholding, and that's why they are not very keen on onboarding as incubating companies in these incubation centers. They prefer to only utilize the facilities and the services and the hand-holding support of the incubation centers. So we then decided to set up a separate program and a separate corpus specifically for the startups in the defense sector through IDEX, where we will not have this requirement of the incubation center to put in that contribution of 5 lakh or 10 lakh equity from their own corpus. The rest of the features of the product remain the same. We have internally approved the scheme, and we are just about to sanction a total corpus of around 25 crore across 5 such incubation centers to begin with, specifically for the defense sector. And we hope to scale this up going forward because there is a huge requirement for innovations in the defense sector. There are many startups in the country who are specifically working for the defense sector to fulfill their requirements of indigenization of components and the products as well. So that was something that we are doing for the at the very pure seed stage startups. And there is one more information that I would like to share with you, that judging these by the success of the FFS or the Fund of Funds for Startups of 10,000 crore, which was set up by DPIIT, which I mentioned is fully committed. We also had several rounds of discussions with DPIIT to set up a similar fund for funding in the startups at the very early stage, seed stage investments. A fund dedicated for seed stage investment, and there was an approval, cabinet approval has already been taken for a corpus of 5,000 crore rupees. DPIIT was in the process of figuring out the modalities of deployment of that 5,000 crore corpus. In the meantime, the Honorable Finance Minister made an announcement in the budget, which you would have heard, of a fund or corpus of 1 lakh crore, which is proposed to be set up for investment at the seed stage, early stage startups in priority sectors, including defense. So I understand that this 5,000 crore corpus, which was being contemplated by DPIIT, will get subsumed in the overall corpus of 1 lakh crore. And we are in the process of providing policy inputs to DPIIT on how to distribute and administer this 1 lakh crore corpus, which is proposed to be set up by the Government of India. So that was it about the startup sector and SIDBI's engagement in the startup sector. Going forward, we shall be working towards making the startup ecosystem more inclusive while enabling large inflow of funds to startups that are innovative and have the potential to create a large positive impact. I will be here throughout the program, so in case you have any further queries or any specific observations or comments or feedback, I'll be happy to address them. Thank you for your attention.
Mr. Mandal, I'll request you to please stay on stage for a minute. I would like to request Ashish Pandey, Principal Correspondent, Economic Times, to please present a memento and an Akshay Patra certificate to Mr. Mandal. A huge round of applause for Mr. Mandal. Thank you so much for your eye-opening address. I think it was very educative about the various programs of the government and how SIDBI is implementing them, especially for startups. Thank you so much for your address. The Akra Patra Foundation is striving to ensure that no child in India shall be deprived of education because of hunger, and we are very happy to present a certificate of appreciation to you. Thank you so much. The Akra Patra Foundation serves over 2 million children studying in 24,082 government and government-aided schools and Anganwadi centers across 72 locations in 16 states and 2 union territories of India, currently feeding 2 million children daily. The mission of the foundation is to feed 3 million children every day by 2025. Okay, before we go ahead, pop quiz. How many of you knew there was a Tinder to find investors for startups? Show of hands. Did you know there is a website where you could swipe left to find yourself an investor? No? See, you got great pearls of wisdom today and how you can capitalize on this. So if you have any questions after having heard Mr. Mandal, I request you to write down your questions. And of course, when you hear other speakers, if you have any questions, write them down on the notepad in front of you. Mention your name, your company's name, your email address and your phone number along with the question and who you want it addressed to. We will take up these questions later on in the open house, and if your questions are not taken up, you will receive an answer from the team. So any question come to your mind, write it down. Somebody will come to your desk and collect these questions. And don't wait till the last moment that when the open house happens, I'm going to tell my question. Write it down now because it's come to you after you heard the speakers. So we'll come and collect those questions and you'll have the opportunity to ask the questions to our speakers. We're now going to move on to a fireside chat. And for this, I would like to invite on stage Anupriya Nair, Executive Producer, Economic Times Podcast, on stage to moderate this session. So please put your hands together and welcome on stage Anupriya Nair. And please also welcome on stage Mr. Karthik R, Assistant Director, MSME DFO, Hubli, to engage in this conversation on Atmanirbhar Karnataka, decoding the blueprint of holistic MSME expansion. A huge round of applause for Anupriya and Karthik are on stage. I'm going to hand it over to Anupriya to take this conversation forward.
Thank you for that, Anisha. Karthik, welcome. And I must say that Mr. Mandal started by saying he's not a good speaker, but definitely a very engaging conversation, a lot of statistics to go with. And he talked largely about the greater ecosystem and the startup, and I'm sure Mr. Karthik needs no introduction, but he is the Assistant Director, as it says, of MSME DFO here at Hubli. So we're going to get a little more micro, Karthik. We're going to go from the macro to the micro and talk about the city, the district we're in, and what's really happening. I'm going to go back to what Ashi said, over 10 years looking at the MSME ecosystem, lots of conversations, lots of banners. But things are starting to pick up and change quite significantly. These conclaves are more about solutions. There's a lot of more movement coming in MSMEs, and SIDBI is at the forefront of those solutions, be it financial or non-financial. And we'll get to those initiatives, but Karthik, in your experience, what has changed on the ground? What is changing at this point in the MSME ecosystem and the credit interaction that you're seeing with the ecosystem?
Thank you. So good evening to all our present here, and I would like to congratulate SIDBI and Economic Times for organizing such a wonderful event here, and also I would like to thank for having me in this MSME Conclave. So going back to your question, when we compare before 10 years, Joe MSMEs was there. They were not aware about the schemes. They were not aware about that there is an office. You just leave about the schemes. They were not even aware about there is an office, MSME office is available at Hubli, Gulbarga, Bangalore. That kind of awareness was not there. But today the awareness has come up. So for example, I can tell you that. So when I've joined in Hubli office, we'll be regularly getting around just 1 to 2 visitors every day at our office. Now that mindset has changed, and if any new entrepreneur, especially the persons who is studying the college and coming out of the college, they directly want to start a new enterprise on their own. So they are directly coming to our office and asking that, see, I'm a startup, I just want to start a startup. So what are the help I can get from your office? What are the help I can get from your ministry? So just tell me about your schemes. So even after tell about the schemes, what are the things available, they go back and study that schemes and come back to us. So that kind of basic change has happened, and we are seeing on the ground directly. So not only for the new entrepreneurs, the existing entrepreneurs, so they just want to go for that upgradation. They just not to want to be at only at domestic level. They just want to compete in the global level. So they are coming to us and asking that we just want to do some exports, or we just want to compete with a foreign entity. So how can you help for doing that? So that kind of mental change, the basic mental change has happened, and we are seeing on that ground daily.
And you would say that those coming into the doors of SIDBI and looking for these solutions, be it finance or non-finance at this point, financial more, because credit financing is something that we've talked about so long, especially in the MSME sector. Would you say that it is encouraging to see even the older or the more established MSMEs also come in and look at some of these new schemes and new initiatives which we'll talk about?
Yes, as I told you, they just don't want to be at domestic level. They want to compete in the global level. So there, the thing with the respect to domestic circuit is already over. They just are looking out somewhat in a much bigger picture. They just want to compete globally. That is why their mentality has totally changed, and they are coming to us and they are asking for the new schemes. So every time if they are telling us this kind of schemes or this kind of things, if you include in a scheme, that will be highly benefit to us. So that also we'll just note it down and we'll send it to our ministry, so that when the next policy they are when they are making the next policy time, they will include that also. depending upon our suggestion.
So that's a very encouraging conversation, I think, for a lot of participants and audience sitting here and listening as well. And it was resounding even in Mr. Mandal's conversation about how what is being offered is changing with the times.
Yes.
That you're noticing what is actually required. These are not just set in stone schemes announced and they just sound good as a punchline, but really what is required and asked for on the ground. Take us through some of these initiatives which are more related to what the particular district requires and what you're finding solutions to for the MSMEs in Belagavi.
So the basic thing is that the major many initiatives we have taken from our office of lately before 2 months before we have organized an awareness program on the various schemes available for the MSMEs, so that there are many schemes which got updated, so that we just want to regularly keep in touch with associations on any chamber of commerce, so that we keep on organizing these kind of awareness programs, so that what are the updates schemes, the schemes has been updated, what are the new schemes has come up. So we just want to educate and made the MSMEs aware. For that 2 months before we have conducted an awareness program in association with Lagu Udyog Bharati and Belgaum Small Scale Industry Associations, and MSMEs has been participated in that program. And of late also we are also concentrating not only on the MSMEs, we are just going to the ground level, means that we are also conducting an entrepreneurship awareness program in the technical institution also, so that they are the one, they will be coming out of the college and they just want to start a new entrepreneur they want to become. So once they come out, they just want to know that what are the schemes available and how the government of India is helping them to start a new company. So for that we will be organizing an entrepreneurship awareness program in the technical institutions, and third and final year students will be attending the program. And shockingly, when we are organizing that entrepreneurship awareness program, they do not know about what is even MSME means. So that kind of definition level, ground root level, we are telling them that this is MSME definition, and we have office at Hubli, and if you need any help, you can come and contact our office. We have schemes, these kind of schemes are available. So you can just, if you require any help from our side, you can directly come to our office and you can connect with us. So these are the major initiatives we are taken based on the awareness part.
So as you said, there are more and more first-time entrepreneurs who want to start up small, and those who are also looking at completing at global level. What are some of the challenges you face? We will hear from the other side of the MSME, and we'll be sitting down with the panel and what are some of the solutions they've found and what is still up ahead. But as someone who's providing the credit, what are the challenges that you face when you meet someone, or you're faced with someone who's looking for funding and that's the solution you're providing? What are some of the challenges that you face in the credit financing?
Challenges generally we face is that basically the awareness based upon that specific schemes and how to avail that specific scheme with respect to intellectual property, we have a quality certification scheme like zero effect and zero defect. So how to avail that scheme? It is basically that we will be telling that you do this things and you will be getting the certification. And after that, they will be not able to connect with that schemes. So after that, they will be coming to us, they will be sitting with us, because that we are having at only one office at our Hubli, and we have a district industry center at Belgaum also. If we tell them that you just go and connect with them, they are not able to do that. So regularly in connecting with them, we are finding a problem with them, and also we are finding a solution that once you get to know about the scheme, you study well in detail and just come to us. 1 or 2 times you just come to our office and we are there to help you out.
You mentioned intellectual property there,
Yes,
and
yes.
IP is a very big talking point for a lot of newcomers, for a lot of even MSMEs in the manufacturing now. People are coming out with products, and their IP has become a buzzword to protect what is yours and grow on it. How is the financing towards such products? You mentioned a scheme that you have. What are these initiatives around the IPs that people are creating?
So we have a scheme called MSME Innovative Scheme. In that we are encouraging any MSME startups, MSME company startups, any individual, if they want to go and file a patent. We are opening an intellectual property facilitation center in each district. We are we have given the map to that, and now every district will be opening an intellectual property facilitation center. So if an MSME individual or any guy want to file a patent, they can directly go and contact that IPFC, Intellectual Property Facilitation Center. They will be guiding them from top to bottom what needs to be done, what are the documents to be submitted. So to filing a patent, once they file the patent, once they get the grant of the patent, they can approach our office. We have a scheme in that for domestic patent we will be reimbursing at amount of rupees 1 lakh, and for international patent we are reimbursing about 5 lakh for that international patent. So that patent reimbursement is there. And apart from that, if an MSME or any startup company they want to file a trademark, they can approach the IPFC. so that the IPFC will be helping out in filing the trademark. And once they get the trademark granted to them, they can approach our office and 10,000 rupees reimbursement is given to them. The thing is that the cost is for filing a trademark itself will be coming around 10,000 rupees. So if they come to us and they get the reimbursement, ultimately the trademark will be a free of cost. And the major part of the scheme is that an MSME is not only confined to only one trademark, an MSME can apply for any number of trademark. So even they can apply for 10 trademark at a time and they can get reimbursement from us. The best thing, the saddest part is that we have a fund for that, but no MSMEs, we have at least minimum 15 reimbursement needs to be done for this financial year. And I keep on insisting the MSMEs, if you have trademark, just come to us, we are ready to reimburse. But most of the MSMEs is not coming to us. I don't know why, and they are having a trademark also.
So, you think that is also lack of awareness?
Yes, that is the thing. Because they have a trademark with them, and I have told them, I have also demonstrated them how to apply for a trademark reimbursement. Even after telling them, they are not coming forward to take the reimbursement. So that is the major, I don't know what happens with them.
There's a big vacuum between
yes.
between what is being provided by SIDBI and what is actually being...
This is actually a Ministry of MSME scheme. So we are providing reimbursement to the trademark, and the people is having the trademark, but getting the reimbursement, they are not coming forward. That is what the awareness part is. So we are into that. We are into that, creating the awareness that this kind of scheme is available. You just come to us, and amount is ready, and we are ready to give the amount. And this will hardly takes maximum 1 week to 10 days. You will get the money in your bank account. So it is not a big process also. It is just if you go on the online, you just give all the details of the trademark which you have got, and within 10 days you will get the money in your bank account. That's all. It is not a tedious process also. So this is what we are doing. So we are conducting the awareness program on this also, intellectual property, so that in filing a patent or getting the reimbursement for a patent trademark will become much more easier, and many more MSMEs will come forward to take that in future too.
What would you say to someone who still says that there is a significant challenge in getting financing for MSME? Where do you think is the difference between sort of the cup reaching the lip? Because there's obviously funding available. We've heard it in the budget, we've heard it from the central government, we've heard it in many conversations as well. So where is this vacuum? Where there's this conversation that, oh, credit is still very hard, MSMEs are not getting the support. What are we missing, Karthik?
So the basic thing is that the MSMEs which they are approaching the bank, the basic thing the bank will be seeing is based upon the project report. So the project report, many MSMEs will be coming to our office and will be telling us, as you said, that we have a project, which is a good project, and we are into manufacturing of some product, and we have a good order also. But when we are approaching the bank, we are not getting the loan. So I'll be asking you, just give me the project report, I'll just study and tell you what is the problem. And if I get the project report, the project report will not be prepared according to the standards. So that is the basic thing they are missing out. So the thing is that if I ask any question to that entrepreneur is not able to answer that question. So he is telling, finally he will be telling the answer that CA has prepared that project report. So I am not able to know about the financial terms about that. So the entrepreneur also from their side, they have to study the project report, because that is their project. That is their product which is going to get the loan. So from their side, they need to be very sure about what are the financial terms included in the financial project report, and what are how many, suppose next 5 years projection, if they say that I will be getting about 50 crore revenue in next 5 years, how we are going to get the 50 crore revenue, that he must be able to answer that question. But many of the entrepreneur is finding difficult to answer that question. They just write the numbers, and when the bank manager or if anyone asks, they are not in a position to answer that question. So in that case, they need to be very sure about their project report and some financial terms also.
So would that be also when you're evaluating new entrepreneurs, new incomers into the business world of the MSME world, what would be some of the benchmarks or sort of the check marks that you're looking at when you're providing credit, Karthik, for the listening?
Actually, we are not directly providing the credit. The banks will be giving the credit, but we'll be educating them.
Yeah.
From our side, we'll be educating, like you just go and study towards, you just get the project report from if you Google it, you'll be getting some of the project reports also. So you just study the project report, and you just make sure that what are the terms used in the project report. You just study the balance sheet, profit and loss statement, what it is mentioned, and what is the meaning of that. You just from your side, you just make sure that, so if anyone questions you, you should be in a position to answer that question.
Is there a standardization requirement? I mean, which is the problem point at this time, like you're saying, if people are coming with project reports or coming with questions to you. You don't have a standardized way of looking at it because everybody's preparing their project reports differently. Does that make it harder for credit financing?
Project report is very simple. You just need to give a projection of 5 years or 3 years financial
Yeah.
projection has to be given. That is a standardized one only. But the thing is that the numbers which has been mentioned in the project report, like balance sheet, profit and loss, they are not sure what it has been mentioned. They are given to the they are giving to some chartered accountant, and they are preparing that project report on behalf of the entrepreneur, and they are just paying that and getting the project report. And after that, when you are going to the bank, they are not able in a position to answer that questions. So that is why I think they are finding it difficult to get their loan.
The credit financing
Credit
problem
finance,
that
yes,
they're talking about. You know, the other thing, Karthik, that we were talking about before we came and sat down here was about how MSMEs are also changing and when they're expanding, especially when you said there are older lot of the MSMEs that are wanting to compete at the global level. When these MSMEs are competing at the global level, one big thing that is going to come up over the next 5 years, immediate 5 years, is going to be the requirement to be environmentally aware, also go green, be more sustainable, because in exports it's going to count, the green tick is going to count. When it comes to credit financing, and they will look for financing for this because it is quite expensive to go green. Where does the support come in for that? Are there programs that SIDBI has and schemes that MSMEs that are looking to go green should be focused on?
Yes, we have a scheme called MSME Sustainable Z scheme. Z is meaning that zero effect and zero defect. The zero effect means it is clearly that the company doesn't have any effect on the environment, and zero defect means it is having a less defect, means high quality product. So at present that scheme has been launched for this manufacturing units. So Z is categorized into 3 categories. First category is bronze, second is gold, and third category is silver and gold. 3 categories of certification is available for Z certification. The major thing is that if an MSME is there, they want to get certified for a Z unit. So they can, Z, the website is there, z.msme.gov.in, that is the official website for Z. They can go and register themselves, and as a financial grant, as a one-time grant, once you get registered and take the Z pledge, 10,000 rupees will be credited to their Z account. That is the first step process. So if they are going for bronze certification, the cost of certification is 10,000. So once they go for bronze certification, at the free of cost, they will be getting the bronze certification. Any MSME will be getting a free of cost for bronze certification. And apart from this, if a certified, if an MSME is getting Z certified, there is a concession on processing fee and also loan also many banks are offering. Suppose for example, State Bank of India, if a company MSME is an Z bronze certified unit, they are getting 5% concession on processing fee and 5 basis point on interest concession. So if that is an MSME is a silver certified unit, they are getting 15% concession on processing fee and 15 basis points on interest concession. So if it is a gold certified unit, they are getting around 25% concession on processing fee and 25 basis point concession on interest rate. So these kind of things, and also they will be getting some kind of logistics concession from the Ministry of Railways. So once that Z certified they comes, they also can means like if they can certify that the product also. They can mention that we are a gold certified unit, and they can mention the product, and that can be used for the marketing purpose also.
Are you seeing a lot of MSMEs here coming in for this, because Belagavi is known for its
Yes.
age-old foundries, and that's what has actually put it on the map, but now there are more and more industries. Are you seeing interest towards such schemes, and do you think that
Yes, the MSMEs are very much interested in the schemes, and as on date, we have around 5,400 units registered Z certified units from Belgaum district, which is way more higher than Bengaluru rural district. So that is a great initiative and great awareness on the Z certification.
You know, lastly, I want to ask you, Karthik, there's always a little gripe that in smaller districts people have that most of these schemes, most of these top-line announcements are meant for big cities. You know, they're supposed to go to the fancy Bangalore or NCR or Bombay, Delhi, and they don't trickle down to smaller districts. Is that true? Is that a myth, or
No, it's clearly a myth. As I said, that is why I have mentioned that if you get the Z certified unit, it is 5,400 units already certified from Belgaum district, which is way higher than the Bengaluru rural district, Bengaluru urban district. In Bengaluru urban district, we have around 4,700 units only. As on date, we have only 4,700 units Z certified units from Bengaluru urban district. Now, in considered Belgaum district, it is around 5,400 units already certified. Z certified units. So that is what I am saying. That is actually a myth. So if you consider the clusters also, we have a cluster development program. If we consider clusters also, we have around 6 ongoing clusters only in Belgaum district. Only in Belgaum district, we are having around 6 ongoing clusters. Overall, if you consider northern Karnataka, we have around 11 ongoing clusters. in considering in northern Karnataka, which is way higher than the southern Karnataka. So southern Karnataka, I don't know the numbers, but it is way higher than the southern Karnataka part. So it is clearly a myth, and it is not at all true actually.
Karthik, busting a lot of myths there. The credit financing is not a problem. You've got to know the schemes, and you've got to know, and the offices are open for any kind of queries. And
Sure. We are always there, and our office is located at Hubli, and I'm always there to help. If any queries or any issues if you face with respect to any of the schemes of Ministry of MSME, you can directly contact us, and we are always there to help you.
And I did catch one of our audience members catch you earlier and said, I've been wanting to talk to you. So I think Karthik is
Sure,
going to
I'm already available at any point. That's not an issue.
busy. But thank you so much, Karthik. And we'll be back with a lot more people from the MSME sector as well to talk a little bit more. And maybe you'll have some more questions for you at the end.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Back to you, Nisha.
Thank you, Anupriya, and thank you, Mr. Karthik. Please stay. We want to thank you for coming here and sharing all the good work being done. It's fantastic. If you want some assistance with your proposal to get financing, don't get it wrong, get in touch with Mr. Karthik. Their centers are mentoring all those who want to write kick-ass proposals so that they get the funding they need. And it is really heartening to know that the Z certification in this Belagavi region is way ahead of the big brothers in larger cities like Bengaluru. So, round of applause for everybody in Belagavi, shining bright and outshining those in the biggest cities. So, I request Anupriya to please present memento to Mr. Karthik. We want to thank him for coming here and for sharing his views so candidly with the audience. Thank you so much, and I request Anupriya to please present memento to Mr. Karthik. And Mr. Karthik is here, so do catch him during the networking dinner. If you do want to discuss your proposals further and what you can do, if you're looking for that Z certification, what is the minimum that you need to do and how he can be of help to you. So make the best use of this opportunity during the dinner time to catch up with those who have inspired you. And if you have questions from the SIDBI team, do write them down. I request you again. Do write down your questions. Our teams will be coming to your desk. We'll pick up those questions and you will get a chance to get them answered during the open house that is going to happen soon. So make most of the time that we present you here to get all your questions answered. Now, SIDBI recently released some large value loans to enterprises in Karnataka. Some of these businesses will be given the symbolic checks and sanction letters. To present these set of checks to entrepreneurs, I would request Mrs. Sudatta Mandal, DMD SIDBI, to please come on stage to do the order. And I would like to request Mr. Satyagi Rastogi, CGM SIDBI, to also please join him to present these symbolic checks to these enterprises that have recently got the sanction letters. So I'm going to be calling out the name of the enterprise and request those leading those organizations to come on stage. So we're going to start with a list of customers who have received the sanction letters. And I would request Sri Jayant Kutle of Oasis International Belgaum to please come on stage to receive this symbolic check. Yes, a round of applause for Oasis International Belgaum. Request Sri Jayant Kutle to please come up and receive the check. Congratulations and all the best in your ventures ahead. Request Shri Sanjay Ramesh Chandra Viradi of Siddheshwar Founders to please come on stage to receive the symbolic check after having received the sanction letter. Round of applause as Sanjay Ramesh Chandra Viradi makes his way up on stage. All the very best to your venture. to call upon Shri Akra Balakrishnan Mahale of SM Enterprises to come on stage to receive their check after having received the sanction letter from SIDBI. I would now request Shri Rajesh Munchandi Jar of Shri Enterprises to please come on stage to receive his check. All the very best to Shri Enterprises. Now we are going to call on stage those customers who have been handed over the disbursement checks. I request Shri Akra Balakrishnan Mahale to please come on stage of SM Enterprises to receive the disbursement check. Invite on stage Shri Anand Hitalkiri of Shrushti Engineering Works to please come on stage to receive the disbursement check. And Mr. Rastogi, and many congratulations to all the recipients. Thank you all for coming up, and thank you to the gentleman. I request Mr. Rastogi to stay back because he's going to address the audience next. So a quick introduction of Mr. Rastogi. Mrs. Satyaki Rastogi, CGM, SIDBI, is the Chief General Manager, is presently heading the partner lending vertical of the bank. He presents his present assignment involves creating institutional partnerships to enable affordable credit access for unserved and underserved MSMEs, especially micro and nano MSMEs, using technology-based credit delivery platforms. He is also responsible for SIDBI's program for developing clusters for the benefit of MSMEs, which entail both soft and hard interventions in partnership with state governments. Mr. Rastogi also holds additional charge as regional head of Bengaluru region, covering 3 states of Karnataka, Kerala and Goa, wherein he takes care of the direct lending business of the bank in these states, as well as for making meaningful development initiatives for skill development, enterprise creation, entrepreneurship and engaging with startup entrepreneurs. So I would request Mr. Rastogi to please deliver this address on empowering MSMEs and ONDC collaboration. Please put your hands together for Mr. Satyaki Rastogi.
So thank you, Anisha. Respected Mandal sir, DMD SIDBI, dignitaries of the dais, because there is nobody on the dais. So, so dignitaries of the dais. The presentation that I am going to show is actually for myself. That's my cheat sheet, so please don't look at it. I will be speaking whatever I feel is relevant for the topic. So, the topic today is that empowering MSMEs. Now, if we have to empower MSMEs, how do you run this? Yeah. So if we have to, it's okay, it's fine. Switch it off. Yeah. So if we have to empower MSMEs, we have to first understand them. And understanding of MSMEs is very important, especially if we know that while we say that there are 7 crore MSMEs in this country, we have only 1% of them into the first M, that is the micro enterprises. We have 99% of them in the first M, that is the micro enterprises. So we have to understand the character of the MSMEs, that majority of them are micro enterprises and may not have the capability or the wherewithal to get formal credit, to understand the schemes, to know the whatever are the facilities available to them. So it's very important to get to them if we want to actually nurture MSMEs. The 1% small and medium enterprises that are there, I think they are better equipped. They know more about what is available to them, what they can get from the banks, what they can get from the governments. They have the more ability to be able to bargain a better deal for themselves, but not the micro sector. So if you look at it, 7 crore MSMEs, out of that 99% micro enterprises, only 1% small and medium enterprises, and out of these micro enterprises, 80% of them are in informal sector. That is, they don't even have Udyam registration. So that is the kind of sector that we need to address. Now, how to address that is the most important thing. If you look at the profile of these, again, a very small segment of them would be into the modern or the startup segment or the modern segment, people who are looking global, people who are going in for the latest technologies, because that's a very small part. They are very diversified, 31% into manufacturing, 69% into trade and services, 20% owned by women. Now I really doubt that figure also, because most of us know in majority of MSMEs, while we have, they say it's women oriented, but the person behind that would be somebody, not a woman. So if you look at actually a women enterprises, they would be much lesser than this figure of 20%, which is reflected in the figure. But the contribution of the MSME sector to the country is phenomenal. So if you look at that, they are contributing 30% of the GDP, 45% of the exports, and they are the second largest employers in the country after the agriculture sector. But this is also, if you compare it with globally, all the developed economies, the contribution of MSMEs is closer to 50%. And the exports are much higher from those countries, from MSMEs. So that is the gap which is available. I think the Government of India also has a target of increasing the contribution of MSMEs towards the GDP to 40% by 2030. So that's a target that the Government of India has. Coming to SIDBI, we have a long journey. Established in 1990, we started as a refinancing institution. But when I talk about SIDBI, wherever I talk about SIDBI, I call ourselves as, and maybe you are the best judge, but when I am from within the organization and I talk about it, I have some passion about it. So I talk about SIDBI as an incubator, as an innovator, and as somebody who is, as an organization which has all through tried its best in the last 34 years of existence to find out pain points of the MSMEs and how to address those issues. So while we started primarily as a refinancing institution, we've got into direct finance. Now our direct finance book is very small. We have around 20,000 crore direct lending book today, slightly more than that. That 20,000 is directly our own through some other, we have around 25,000 crore. But if I look at it, what share of overall MSME lending we have, I dissect it this way that we are majorly a term lender. We are funding majorly for equipments and for capital equipments and the capital assets. So if I look at the geographies that I am present and the funding that I do, the product that I operate maximum, I have got in those geographies a major share in the term lending space. I am not saying major share means 50% because there are so many operators, so many financial players in the market, but I still hold 3 to 5% share in these geographies where SIDBI is present. So direct credit is one. Then I think the previous session, Anupriya talked about environment friendly practices. So I think we were the first institution in this country which started with the green finance, energy efficient practices, reducing carbon footprints, having environmental friendly manufacturing practices, and this to encourage that we identified technologies, we identified machines and gave concessional finance, subsidized finance to encourage MSMEs to get into this, because we realized going forward most of the global players and even the national players will be looking forward towards people who are into this value chain of green manufacturing practices. So they would not like to get associated with people who still continue to leave footprints on the carbon or have very high energy consumption in their manufacturing practices. So slowly I have been interacting with a lot of global MNCs and also locally the large OEMs. Now today everybody is talking about reducing the carbon footprints, bringing in good manufacturing practices. So this is a space where we've entered. I'll talk about it later. Cluster development. Cluster development is another thing where we are collaborating with state governments and on our own also trying to do hard and soft intervention, both hard intervention in terms of infrastructure, in terms of developing industrial areas, into developing the facilities within them, common facility intervention, skilling, taking them to giving the MSMEs market linkages, providing them with design interventions, how to get into better designing and everything. So that is the kind of thing that we do in the cluster development. Venture capital, I don't think I have to speak now. Sir has already given you elaborate outlook on that. Credit guarantee, again we started CGTMSE way back in the year 2000 and 2003 around. Today, credit guarantee CGTMSE is one of the most important tool in the hands of the banks and also the MSMEs to get collateral free credit. And we do a lot of policy advocacy with the government and digital initiatives. So we realize that delivering credit to MSMEs, we require seamless processes. The times are now changing. We've got so much of data available with us coming from public domain, coming from source, and we can utilize those data to develop rule engines and to develop algorithms to deliver credit to MSMEs more quickly and at a lesser cost. These are the digital enablers that we have launched. So our first one was Udyami Mitra portal. So this is a portal where more than 1,60,000 bank branches are there, and more than 2 lakh community centers are there. We have 7 government programs running. 2 key schemes of government, PM Swanidhi and PM Vishwakarma, are today running through this portal. And more than 50 lakh micro units, have availed finance using Udyami Mitra portal from various banks, from the entire financial ecosystem. We also promoted the PSP loans in 59 minutes. This is a portal which is offering quick loans to the MSMEs. You have your GST, your ITR, your bank statement ready, and it will fetch the CIBIL on your consent. And based on that, within 59 minutes, you will get an in-principle approval of your eligibility of loans. And there is an offline, online process beyond that also. OPL today is also managing 2 large programs that we are doing with the government. That's on Jan Samarth and Jan Suraksha platforms. Then we have the Udyam Assist platform. As we spoke earlier, the 7 crore, out of the 7 crore MSMEs, only 20% are formalized. So only 20% have Udyam registrations. Now what happens to the balance 80% and how we bring them into the formal channel? Because once they get into the formal channel, they get a lot of government the services, they get finance, it can enable finance. So along with Ministry of MSME, as a partner, we have embarked upon a very ambitious project of Udyam Assist platform. On this Udyam Assist platform, what we are doing is trying to bring in these balance 80%, balance 5.5 crore MSMEs into the formal system. And within 1 year, not even 1 year, within 1 year of developing this Udyam Assist platform, we've already formalized more than 1 crore informal entities into formal entities by issuing them Udyam Assist certificates. And with that, they can now reach out to banks and to financial institutions, as also avail lot of services that are coming through from the government. Sir, 1.27, okay. So I stand corrected, so it has become 1.27 crore. My information is a little bit old. This is about the green investment that we are promoting. Already we have done impact through this impact of SIDBI initiatives. We have saved more than 1800 gigawatt hour per annum of electricity, of energy, 1.73 million of carbon footprint, carbon emission that we have reduced. More than 160 megawatt of solar power we have financed. We are also running various ambitious projects, and one of them we are now planning to have. We've already had discussion with the Belagavi Foundry Cluster, and we are going to have one of our grid program running there. The grid program is more about doing an energy audit in a MSME, finding out their areas where they can improve and they can reduce their energy consumption, and then taking this as an example and encouraging everybody else around within that cluster to take up it in a larger way. So overall, what the objective is to reduce the overall carbon footprints, increase energy efficiency, and make them more viable, more competitive to go global. SIDBI Cluster Development Fund, we have a fund from Government of India. The money comes where we are collaborating with the state governments, and the projects identified by them where they feel intervention is required. It can be about industrial estate, it can be about developing roads, bridges, common facility centers, design centers, tool rooms, anything that they do, that they develop. We are willing to fund them at a very concessional rate. Some rates are as good as what the state governments don't normally get from the banks when they borrow. So this is something very lucrative for them and very good enabler for MSME ecosystem. We have 8 state governments already onboarded, and 3 we are going to onboard before the end of March 24. So we will have 11 state governments, and we would have sanctioned them roughly around 7,000 crore rupees for infrastructure, industry, this cluster development. Along with that, we identify sectors, and we are running a program in 25 clusters. It's mentioned 13 here, but we are running it in 25 clusters now, wherein we have identified those clusters, what are their pain areas in terms of soft intervention that is required. They can be artisanal clusters, they can be startup clusters, any kind of, they can be engineering clusters, textile clusters, whatever. So, but we identify their pain points, and then we get specialized agencies to them to train them, skill them, and to get them to the market. Recently, our Jodhpur cluster, where we have had a program, we've sent 10 of the entrepreneurs from there. They have gone to Germany, participated in an exhibition, and I can proudly say that when they came back in those by 1 week exhibition, they had more than 5 crore worth of international orders with them. So that is the kind of intervention we are trying to do, and this is one cluster. Another cluster we've had in Sambalpur, that's a Bargarh Sari cluster, and in that cluster today, the master artisans are getting training from IIM Sambalpur, and they proudly, they are very proud of what they are doing, what they have got from SIDBI. On the 3rd of February, I think 25 of them were felicitated by our Honorable Prime Minister in Sambalpur. And the difference that we've seen is that their monthly incomes used to be around in the range of 2,000, 2,500 rupees, which have gone up 4-folds now. So that is the kind of difference we are trying to create through our cluster programs. Venture, I think Sir has already spoken. Now today there is digital public infrastructure available, and I think in SIDBI we are the first of amongst many of the banks, many of the financial sector, that we are using this to the best to give our services. Some of our customers here have also already got it. So, so what we are doing is we are using these 4 rails. So there are 4 rails available. We have divided into 4 categories. One is identity rail, so we get the KYC done through Aadhaar, eKYC, eSign, GST, ITR. These are the things that can come directly from the source. Payment rails we are using, which are UPI, Bheem, then Aadhaar enabled payment services, Bharat QR, NACH, and data sharing rails, where account aggregator networks are coming, credit bureau information is available, and finally the risk scores. So all these things, what we are using all these to deliver credit. Today SIDBI is one of the banks which is delivering credit straight through process, end-to-end digital process. Loans up to 3 crore we are giving for equipment finance primarily today, only for equipment finance, and for people who are existing into business for 3 years. We are also working on algorithm for new enterprises for that, but right now it's available only for those who are into the business for 3 years. But we are the first bank to give it for 3 crores end-to-end digital process, where the loan is granted. Once you apply, you have to have your GSTR, you have to have your ITR, CIBIL, and then we draw a GST analyzer from Jakarta, and with this, and your bank statement. With these 4 things, this entire information is triangulated, and within 30 minutes you get your loan sanctioned. Loan sanctioned, I am not talking about in principle sanctioned. You get your loan sanctioned, and then subsequently one of our officers will visit, and the loan is ready to be disbursed the same day or the next day. And our documentation is also totally digital. So you don't have to come to our office, I don't have to go to your office. We sit in our office, you sit in your office or home, wherever you are, and you can sign those documents digitally, and loan is ready. So we've had cases where application to disbursement has taken less than 24 hours. We also realize that a large number of micro enterprises do not have the documents, do not have the capability to avail bank credit. So we have to find ways and means to reach out to them and to deliver credit to them at affordable prices. So today informal credit is available. We all know how much informal credit costs in the market. Even through formal channels, through NBFCs or through the MFIs, the rates that are available to the very small people, micro enterprises who are not into the formal sector, are pretty high in the in excess of 25% per annum. What we are doing, we are running a program with these MFIs and with the lot of non-financial partners, and we are trying to reduce the cost of lending, cost of borrowing for these very small borrowers. These are borrowers who are borrowing into the range of 1 lakh to 5 lakh segment, and they do not have documents, they do not have GST, they do not have ITRs. So lending has to be done in a very different manner. We use technology to deliver credit to them through these partners, through a lot of partners, and today we have reached out to more than 1.5 lakh micro enterprises using this program, which we call as Prayas. It is still a Prayas, and I hope it goes much beyond Prayas, and we are able to, we have a target set for ourselves to reach out to more than 1 crore of micro enterprises in the next 2 years. And today we have an outstanding portfolio of around 2,000 crore under this. But what we've done essentially in this is bring down the cost of borrowing from these people from 25-26% to 18%. Going forward, we would like it to reduce even further. The institution is working on it, and I'm very sure that we will be able to achieve the objective. So this we run on digital technology, totally or digital. It's a digital delivery. It's not digital totally, it's a phygital. So the partner institution's representative goes and does the onboarding or does the customer onboarding, and beyond that everything is totally digital. So they give loan after that, everything is totally digital. Another thing that we've done is the biggest pain point for the MSMEs. I think it's about receivable finance. So while receivable finance is available through our trades and other platforms, trades platforms that are available, but there one constraint that comes is that the purchaser has to accept the invoice. And unless and until purchaser accepts the invoice, banker is not willing to fund. This is GST Sahay is a SIDBI developed app in the RBI sandbox, and RBI has already given approval for it to go live. And this is where working capital finance problems are going to be resolved for all those entities who are GST registered. So they can use this GST Sahay app to get finance from the bank without getting the this acceptance from the purchaser. So please, I think we've already gone live on that. Most of the people will get to know about it slowly. And this is an open source software. It is not only for SIDBI to operate. We have given it to, it's left open to anybody in the financial system to use it by using these protocols and developing their own Sahay app. Express loan for machinery finance, that is what I spoke about. You have to have the loan that I spoke about, 3 crore loan, which you can get in 30 minutes. Now coming to another problem of MSMEs, that is about increasing their market presence and finding new customers, new partners to do business. Globally, if we look at, and for this, Government of India promoted ONDC, Open Network for Digital Commerce. ONDC platform has been developed, e-commerce platform, and this is how this is different from Amazon or a Flipkart. It's a little much different. It is much more democratic. How it is more democratic? So if you look at this, this chart, so you will see the platform ONDC is in between, and there are seller apps on one side and the buyer apps on the other side. Now what happens is, in any platform like Amazon or Flipkart or any other platform, there is a platform and there is a seller on one side and there is a buyer on another side. Now every seller can't come on each platform, every buyer can't come on each platform. What ONDC does is takes a lot of seller platforms. So sellers, there will be sellers, many sellers coming on one platform, many sellers coming on another platform. So there will be lot of solution providers as seller platforms, and there will be lot of solution providers at buyer platforms. So lot of buyers coming on a single app. Now ONDC, what ONDC does is, it does a matchmaking for this entire thing. So for a seller, the buyers on any other platform, he can get matchmaking done. For a buyer, he gets to have a look at seller from any other platform. So that is the one thing which is very different and which makes it much more democratic, much more enabling, because you get more options available to you. What it also does is, it increases the, these are the problems that it is solving. So what are the problems it is solving is, that there are limited choices for the sellers earlier. Now the choices are going to be more. The sellers, manufacturers and the wholesalers, they will have more options available to them. Today they have very limited options on the B2B platforms. Slowly over a period of time, the credit protocols are also going to come onto ONDC. So credit also will flow through ONDC platform. Logistics, it's another thing, because on today on any platform, logistics is like, I have this person to deliver, you take that. But on the ONDC platform, you also have the option to pick and choose who is going to deliver to you. These are the many things that ONDC will enable for the MSMEs. And the scope is tremendous, because globally, if you see, 20% of the B2B trade happens on e-commerce platforms. In India, it is just around 1%. So that is the availability of so much of that is the space available for MSMEs. And one last thing that I want to say is that today, while I am speaking on this MSME conclave, we have also opened our branch in Belagavi. So this morning, we have opened our branch in Belagavi, so we have a presence in Belagavi, and I urge all of you to kindly come to us, avail finance from us. There are lots of MSMEs. We have very good rates. I won't say we are the best in the market, but we are one of the best in the market. But in terms of service, I think when my friend Kulsekran, who is the branch in charge, he heads Hubli branch, and this will be an extension branch for Hubli. So when he will speak, he will let you know how we are giving service to all of you. But in terms of service, I can assure you we are the best in this country. SIDBI as a whole, we are the best in this country. So together we can, and together we will. I want to end by just telling one couplet in Urdu. I don't know. I will also translate it, because we want to be together. So, चमन में इख्तिलाते रंगोबू से बात होती है. चमन में इख्तिलाते रंगोबू से बात होती है. That means in a garden there are lots of colors and fragrances. हम ही हम हैं तो क्या हम हैं, और तुम ही तुम हो तो क्या तुम हो. Thank you.
Mr. Rastogi, I request you to please come on stage. We'd like to present you with a memento. And for this, I would like to request Shalini Kuila, AVP, Revenue and Strategic Initiatives, Economic Times, to please come on stage and present a memento. and Akshay Patra certificate to Mr. Rastogi. Thank you for your address, enlightening, and the opportunity is offered by ONDC for all those who find customers for their products is immense, and SIDBI is helping you get there so that you expand and grow your business. So do get in touch with the SIDBI team to find out more about this if you are not aware about it. And I wanted to tell all of you that the SIDBI MSME Conclave is being streamed live on economictimes.com. If any of your friends have not been able to make it, do tell them they can catch it live as it is being streamed. So this is a wide platform and one where many people can see what's happening right here, and let them know in case they're interested in attending. Now you've heard a number of the SIDBI team members come on stage and talk about the different schemes, how they are helping access to finance for small micro organizations, for MSMEs. If you have questions on any of the topics spoken about here, any of the schemes that you're not clear about, give us your questions. There will be an open house where you will have the opportunity to get those addressed by the SIDBI team. Request you to write down your questions on the notepads on your desk with your name, organization name, and your emails. We will be taking up these questions in the open house, but don't wait till the end. If there's something that has struck you, an idea has come, make the most of the time you have now, write it down, and take this opportunity to ask your questions to the team. We are now going to move on to a panel discussion, and as you can see, the stage is being set for this. And here you will have a chance to hear people from your own community. We have entrepreneurs from Belagavi coming on stage to talk about their experiences, their challenges, and their solutions. So this is going to be a very interesting panel discussion. Because of the paucity of time, we're already running late. We request you to park your questions for any of the panelists here to the networking dinner that we have. And if anything strikes you, take it up with them in the dinner that we're going to have. So this panel discussion, we will have our distinguished panelists. They will deliberate on the theme of unveiling Belagavi's economic resilience, small-scale industry synergy, and entrepreneurial drive, catalyst for innovation and growth. Once again, please welcome on stage Anupriya Nair, Executive Producer, Economic Times Podcast, to moderate this panel. A round of applause for Anupriya. Please welcome her on stage. I would also request you to put your hands together and welcome on stage our esteemed panelists for this discussion. Please welcome Veena B. Padihari, proprietor, Alphonsine Life Sciences. Please welcome Mr. Prakash Mugali, founder, Energy Group. Please welcome Mr. Ajit Patil, founder, CEO, Revolt Motors. Please give these speakers a round of applause as they make up their way on stage. Please welcome C.C. Hondat Kati, President, Belgaum Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Dr. Karthik Sankaran, CEO, Deshpande Startups. Dr. Sachin Sabnis, Managing Director, Belgaum Ferrocast. A huge round of applause for all our speakers on stage. We are very excited to hear about their experiences, their stories. I'll hand it over to Anupriya to steer this discussion.
Thanks for that, Anisha. And wow, I'm guessing this is the equivalent of a star-studded panel for the MSME sector in Belagavi. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And this is not going to be a question hour round with one of you answering one by one. We're hoping this will be, as Anisha started off by saying, an idea exchange, a foster of conversation, to just talk about what is happening in Belagavi, what is changing, and where do we go from here. So and help me along as we go along, because obviously you all are experts of the fields and I'm just here to find out what's really happening on the ground. So thank you for just starting up. All of you actually need no introduction, but for the sake of the audience and everybody who's tuned in online as well, if you could go from the end to here to just introduce yourself and the organization that you represent.
Yeah, my name is Sachin Sabnis and I'm Managing Director of Belgaum Ferrocast India Private Limited. At the same time, I'm President of Laghu Udyog Bharati, Karnataka.
Hi, I'm Karthik Sankaran. I'm CEO of Deshpande Startups, an incubator and accelerator based in Hubli. Thank you.
I'm CC Hondatkatti. I have a foundry, and right now I am a president of Belgaum Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Prakash Muguri. I am founder and chairman of Energy Group of Companies, and we are largely a group of companies involved in various manufacturing businesses.
Hi, good evening. This is Leena Padihari from Alfonzem Groups, and Alfonzem Groups is a biotech company, and it is we manufacture and we are suppliers for industrial enzyme for different industries, for sugar and distillery industries. We do cater the sugar industries, the FMCG industries, the agriculture industries, and also the textile, animal health, and bio-nutraceutical, pharmaceutical, and the microbial industries. Thank you, and I thank SIDBI and the Economic Times for inviting me at this stage. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ajit Patil. I run a company called Revolt Motors. It's an electric vehicle startup based out of Belagavi. Was an IT guy for a good decade and a half before I resigned in 2012 and relocated back to Belagavi. Happy to be here. Thank you.
You know, it's actually very, I would use the word comforting, but also very encouraging to see so many local people to be home and see hometown grow as well. So I think that is a true testament of what the district is, the potential the district is showing. So let me start with you, Mr. Hondatkatti, at this point to really talk about what is happening in Belagavi and the industry as it's changing. You're a veteran here. You're also the president of the Chamber of Commerce, like you were mentioning. How is the commerce been changing, the MSME been changing here in Belagavi?
In Belagavi, as our MSME director said, a lot of startups are coming, more than Bangalore, it seems. In a place like Belagavi, that a lot of people, lot of exports are going on from Belgaum. We have a lot of units in Belagavi, particularly we are famous in manufacturing castings, particularly foundries, and in the field of hydraulics, and in even crankshaft manufacturing also we have a lot of, we are doing exports. So with this Belgaum is Belgaum is shining to in the small MSMEs. So like this we are flourishing right now because of this change in scenario of this industries particularly. We have a lot of demand right now. So we are flourishing, we are doing a good this thing in small scale, medium scale industries.
So I want to talk to Sachin. I want to come to you with this one. As someone who's been here for a while, you're a homegrown entrepreneur and a serial entrepreneur, if I may say that, if I'm correct.
Thank you.
What are some of the stepping stones that you've seen change in the district, and what is some of the immediate challenges that you see that can be, that are easy turnaround solutions, you say, that, you know, why has this not been done yet?
Well, thank you. And first of all, I would like to give a very round applause to all the entrepreneurs who are present here. It has always been very challenging to be an entrepreneur in a tier 2 or a city like Belagavi, because I could see a lot of questions earlier too regarding Belagavi, and Karthik gave an example about what happens in Belagavi as compared to Bangalore. Yes, I started industry way back 30 years back, and one of the things that have changed is the way people look at the industry people. When I started way back 30 years back, people only who couldn't get any jobs or anything got into industry. But today all the industry people are respected. At the same time, a lot of young people now really want to be in the industry. The young people have an urge to be part of industry in place like Belagavi. I hear exactly opposite to this when I see in tier 1 cities, where I meet a lot of industry people in Bangalore and they say that my second generation don't want to join. But in Belagavi, what I see is majority of second generation have come and joined the industry. That is one big nice part about Belagavi. One thing that could have been changed is, as you know, the MSME faces a lot of challenges. One is the credit flow, which has improved over the years. But the infrastructure, especially the land availability, or the workers, the skilling, the marketing side of the story for the MSMEs is still a very, very big challenge for most of the industries out here.
Prakash, would you agree, even in, as someone who's in a very specialized industry at this point, skilling and infrastructure, those some of the immediate challenges? Has credit financing at least become easier?
Skilling is definitely a challenge. I started this company back in 2002 in Bangalore and decided to move to the town where I was born and brought up. And with my whole team, we shifted in 2012 to Belgaum.
Was that challenge in 2002?
Shifting was easy because all the talent that we had hired was primarily from Belgaum and places around Belgaum. But then growing has been a little challenge with respect to acquiring talent that is required. Some of the talent that we have identified, even though the talent is coming from the local institution, but retaining them is a big challenge. And me and Ajit have spoken on this several times. There is something beyond salary, beyond the expectations of these engineers or other professionals who join MSMEs in Belgaum. So while that is a challenge of retaining good talent, building new skill is also equally challenged because of either we are working on, let's say, very specialized deep tech technologies, or it is because there is not enough infrastructure to bring that skill up. So on the other side of credit financing, the gap in credit financing, I sometimes wonder when we have TDS, right, tax deducted at source, we have TCS, tax collected at source, we have fantastic infrastructure of creating pathways when it comes to collecting revenue. When you have so many schemes, I'm somebody who reads a lot on schemes, tries to keep myself updated, but still, sitting out there, I was finding it a little bit of an information overload about all these schemes. Think of an average entrepreneur he wakes up, he's a single man, he's running the industry, his problems are that, what do I do today? What do I do with this vendor? What do I do with this production problem? He's bogged down with that. For somebody like that to come out and then think of what schemes are there, where should I go, it's a little too much to expect. So can't we have a back channel pathway created? Who gives the subsidy? Let's say DIC is competent of giving that. Who gives the loan? Bank gives the loan. Bank has all the database. DIC has all the database. If I am registered with MSME, it's not that subsidy is something voluntary that an entrepreneur has to choose. Yeah. The government wants to help every entrepreneur who is an MSME. So why don't you just connect them at the background and say that, hey, you applied for a loan and you are registered with MSME, so you are eligible for this subsidy and you need to provide these additional documents. Why do you want the founder or the entrepreneur to remember, go to the DIC office, take a form, fill up the form, and then follow with the DIC for the subsidy? Same thing for trademark, same thing for patent. You have, like, the body which gives me patent is a government body. Yeah. The body which gives me a trademark is a government body. They have all the database. So why don't there is a back channel connected so that the founder or the entrepreneur is led to build things and run his business? And whatever facilities you want to give, why don't you make it default available? With due respect, you take all the support documentation, all the looping in required, but not make him part of the choice game and awareness game, so that this whole gap of awareness is not there, will go, if we can do that. So
because that is the biggest gap.
That's the biggest gap that we hear about. So why do you rely on the founders' awareness? All these big, even like exhibition, we have expo subsidy available if you participate in international exhibitions. The organizers who arrange such exhibitions are well versed with all the data mining, data collection. They have all the access. Right. And the government bodies also can directly talk to them, and whatever enforcement can be created, whatever documentation is required, that can be done. But the only appeal is, if something like that can be thought in such a world of digital era, it shouldn't be very difficult to do this.
Well, I'm sure, I mean, for me it sounds very difficult, but I'm sure for those who actually manage to do it, it seems like an easy networking problem. Karthik, come in on this, because this is exactly what we were talking about as well, about bridging the gap at this point with finding credit, finding finance. Do you find that you talk to a lot of first-time entrepreneurs at early stage as well? Do you think it's a lack of awareness, information overload? Where is that vacuum of credit finance?
Definitely. Yeah, I agree with Prakash. I think entrepreneurs have technology challenges, have market challenges, right? And to expect them to know all the schemes and all the departments and all the banks is a very hard thing. And I think as the technology improves, some of this can be really a back-end thing. It's like, it doesn't need somebody to even, it's all could be automated. I see merit in, for example, I apply for a trademark and I am an MSME, a certified MSME, registered MSME. It can be, these could be linked, just like how you look at our IT returns now, right? Wherever you pay based on your PAN card, things are, you get one particular, what an improvement, right, over 10 years. Now, the whole statement that you get, the information, AS or whatever it's called, 26 AS and...
it's all done on the revenue side.
Exactly.
On the expenditure side, it can be done.
Exactly. So I think it can be fairly automated for a lot of things. So it doesn't need, systems can take care of it if you integrate it. So
this could
and I do see that entrepreneurs, there's an overload of entrepreneurs. They have so many challenges. To know all schemes is going to be very, very difficult.
And that's what Karthik was also saying. That is his biggest challenge, to get awareness out and not overload. You talked about automation and how easy it would be. This would very easily move this conversation to how...
Most people also are not aware. Leave apart this one. If I register with DIC, can't I not be given one leaflet says these are the schemes available? Since you are registered with us, why don't you look at these things? So it's become like one way. I register, go on the portal, I get my number, but then there it ends. I don't know also, if an average entrepreneur, what do I do with this certificate?
Ajit, will you be reading such a leaflet that was handed out? If it had all the schemes, do you think
Well,
that will solve the problem?
I would prefer a digital version though. but yes, I mean, what Prakash is asking for is the least. I mean, that's the least they could do. Absolutely agree with what he recommended. We get reminders from GST department and IT department from the revenue side about are we failing to file the returns and etc. etc. But we don't get such kind of scheme reminders that often. Sometimes we do get, but not everybody gets it. But again, like I said, even if you do get them, it's too much of an information overload. What would ideally, and his suggestion is absolutely perfect. The moment I get my trademark or patent granted, and during the process of application, I do apply, I do give all the information. So how the government has the DBT scheme, direct bank transfer, something like that we could have for the startups, for the MSMEs, so that every time you win a trademark, win a patent, you should get the money automatically. I was listening to the speakers today and I realized that yes, there's a huge vacuum, and someone sitting next to me said, did you try applying for this one? I said, I did. So the success rate of applying versus you getting the scheme benefit is, for my case, less than 1%. So you put so much of effort to do all the documentations only to realize that you fell short on just one basic one, which if you had an accountant right from the day one when you incorporated, you could have very well taken care of that. And as a founder, you are the CEO, which means Chief Everything Officer, CFO, and everything. So you are a Chief Everything Officer of everything. It is just not possible humanly for us to be very accurate with all the documentation. So there is a challenge, and let's not expect the founders to address that challenge, because he already has too many things on his plate. So if the people who have the true intent of actually giving these subsidies, the scheme benefits, true intent, it should happen by itself. A mother has a true intent of nurturing the baby, even if the kid is reluctant on getting fed, she will be after him or her for the whole evening. Chanda mama, everything happens. So I'm saying the government bodies are like mother and we are the children. If they have the true intent, please don't get me wrong, straight from the horse's mouth. If you have true intent, find every way possible to feed or stuff the thing down our throat. That's okay. We'll bear it. We'll bear the pain for the scheme benefit. Thank you.
Well, you're adding a fair amount of hardship as someone who's fed two children and sung songs very unsuccessfully to them. It's not an easy task, so obviously this is a tough task ahead. And Nina, coming to you, not for obviously how you would have fed the children, but in your business as well, what are the challenges that you have faced, or what are some of the good side? There's been progressive change as well. The fact that we can sit here and discuss that these schemes are rolled out and we need these schemes to work out means there has been progressive change and a focus. It's work in progress, but how has the work in progress been so far in your experience at Alphansim?
Initially, before starting, I started by 2013, I started the Alphansim Life Science, but group started around 2007. Initially, I'm from an IT background. I've been working as a software engineer for
Seems to be a common trend here.
for around 10 years in Bangalore. After coming from the IT background to back to Belgaum and seeing a huge ocean of industries and different schemes, I think so Belgaum has been developing a lot from last 2 decades. It was primarily rich with agriculture, culture, people, food, but we haven't heard about industry over here. But from last 1 decade, we are hearing industry, we are hearing MSME, and really I didn't know what was MSME some 4-5 years back, though I was an MSME. So
Which is what someone was
yes. Many things I think so the MSMEs are doing, but they don't know the terms. That's the reason awareness is very important. And as Karthik said, that even we don't know there is a MSME center in Mubli, or it's there in Belgaum. But I thank to Belgaum Chambers and Laghu Udyog Bharati team, where they are creating awareness program every month. We have a program and they pitch many awareness programs, new schemes, new subsidies, and new technologies where MSMEs can get the knowledge. And apart from that, my challenge as we are into sugar industries. As we know that we have very very low vendors, farmers. Our raw materials, we get it from the vendors and farmers. We have to do advance payment to them. But we are catering the larger industries where we are getting our payments after 6 months or 1 year. The cycle is not fitting, ma'am. That's a huge problem what we are facing. Now building infrastructure, now if without collateral we don't get any infrastructure, we don't get any loans from the bank. And once we go as a women entrepreneur, the Karnataka government KSFC says that I'll give you 5 to 6% of interest. But once I go there, then there's a lot of complex documentation. And they ask me for some collaterals. My collateral is sitting somewhere else with some other loan for some other CCA account. So these things are getting more complex and more complicated, and we exactly don't know, we don't have the right path. As Prakash said that we need to, there should be a menu for different industries are completely different. I have a sugar industry, some other person has the automobile industry.
It's not a one shoe fits all.
But there are different terms and different schemes for different industries. Yeah. It is not equal for it is not common for all the industries.
And the industries are growing in different fields. I mean, just sitting out of my hotel room, I was watching, there's you see the big red hill which reminds you of what Belgaum was built with, and then the wind panels come in and there were solar panels in front of me. It kind of encapsulated in one shot how industry is also changing. But Sachin, infrastructure has been a problem in Belgaum, right?
Basically the land availability has always been a problem. That's why I said we should appreciate the entrepreneurs who are sitting here, because Belgaum has most of their entrepreneurs who are self-developed with their own, they have taken the private lands, they have controlled. Even today, people like Ajit, when he wants to set up an industry, the land availability is not there. So that has really curtailed some of the growth of majority of entrepreneurs out here, because these are some of the basic necessities that needs to be provided. And without that, basically it's very difficult for an entrepreneur to grow, because it's the basic need once you want to expand. And Belgaum being as dominantly engineering based industries, basically the foundries or crankshaft machining as well as hydraulics have been the base of Belgaum industry. That has been a big challenge. And second challenge, as I partly agree with Ajit, not fully agree with him when he said that this has to be put down the throat of an entrepreneur. The job of the entrepreneur itself is to struggle and do all these things. He has to find it out himself, basically. And basically, SIDBI is doing a great job out here. Actually, as Madam said, a lot of awareness programs as well as other programs are being held. The entrepreneur should go out there and try to look out for these things, because these are available. Not everything is possible at one instance, but they are moving towards that direction.
Let me just ask you, Sachin, you've also had a few ventures before Ferrocast as well.
Yeah.
As you started different units, did it become easier? I mean, just to get
Yeah,
a sense
absolutely.
of back in the day to now. Has it become easier to start a business in Belgaum?
Exactly, because a lot of the statutory regulations have become much easier to get through the government statutory, and it much easier to start. The time of starting the business is reduced comparatively to earlier times. Earlier excise regimes or maybe the VAT regime, and we move to GST regime. There's always an improvement in that. And similar with a lot of other things also. The ease of doing business has always improved. So that has been, it's not a big challenge now for a new entrepreneur to start. As Karthik mentioned, it can be done in maybe a day, or Udyam Aadhar, at least they can get it in maybe 5-10 minutes. As well as Satyaki was mentioning, the loans, in 48 hours they can just, if you have the right financials. I have been using SIDBI loans for 2 or 3 years. And I would like to mention here that maybe I have not met Mr. Kulshekaran till today. We have been doing it. Yeah, when I came here, I just asked
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
that
who
you
is
have to
Mr.
meet him.
Kulshekaran, because we have availed 3 loans, but I have not met him. I have met his, the earlier bank in charge out there, Mr. Kiran, he was there. But after that, it has been so flawless and so online and so digital. Those are the things which are much easier. Basically, those are very easy, and that's what helps the entrepreneur, like as Prakash was mentioning. I don't have to spend my time doing all those signing and everything, because nowadays they do everything digitally, basically. And so it's very easy on that part.
Mr. Honorkar, you had something to add, sir?
So adding to him, as you know, Belgaum is a flourishing, a lot of industries are coming over, new industries. But as he said, the infrastructure, as you know, we are the highest, second highest revenue payers for the government. So, but they are not looking at us. They are taking only revenues, but they are not developing, and they are not doing any infrastructure, particularly in Belgaum. So I should not say this. People are telling that Bangalore is full of industries and or they should go out. People are ready to come out of Bangalore. And beyond Bangalore, it has stuck to Hubli. It is not coming beyond Hubli.
But is it also to do with connectivity? Do you think there is a connectivity problem with roads?
No, infrastructure, land, we are not getting any
We
land.
have a very good connectivity, that is not an issue. Yes. But secondly, I'll just to expand on the same thought, that is the case everywhere in Karnataka. Basically, the infrastructure in the industrial estates, specifically Kasia president is also setting, that has been a problem everywhere basically. Land availability, it might vary from district to district. Sure. But the infrastructure at the industrial estate is very, very poor. And one of the reasons which I understand is industrial estates don't have fixed voters out there. They are all...
Yeah, that is the main...
That is one of the main reasons, because the workers come and go by and nobody stays in the industrial estate. So basically that area doesn't... It's not a vote catchment area for any politician. So interest in developing the industries has been comparatively pretty low.
Even they provide infrastructure, particularly in Belgaum, they have provided industrial land near Kittur. The cost of the land is so high, we cannot provide small industries, they cannot provide after going away 50 kilometers from Belgaum and by paying 65 lakhs per acre, which will not, so just nearby our neighboring state Maharashtra, they have provided lot of, particularly 80% subsidy they give on industrial land. And they have a big, hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
They have made one 5-star industrial estate. Really, they call it as a 5-star industry. They have a lot of facilities they are providing. Just nearby Kolhapur, they have got lot of facilities for industries. That
So
we are
that
not
is
getting.
that land is the big point.
Major problem,
Which-
particularly for Belgaum.
Yeah, but Karthik, come in on this. We talked about Bangalore and the perception of how big ticket startups versus MSME, expansion of existing MSMEs. How is the perception and the work culture changing? Because you interact with a lot of incoming agri-tech, local, go vocal for local,
Right.
actually local tech startups as well. How is the perception changing of business here?
Yeah, I think I see a large number of entrepreneurs coming here, and deep tech as well, as we have Rivert here and Prakash. So a lot of deep tech startups doing, very, even addressing global markets. Their ambition is very, not just to address local markets, even global markets. So I see that there's a shift in the whole entrepreneurial mindset. I would also like to put a plug for incubators. I think the CMD of SIDBI talked about incubators. I'm not just putting a plug for Deshpande startups, but there are all of them. There are, just the statistics, there are about 112,000 DPIT registered startups in India. And we have 900 registered incubators in India. And I think they, SIDBI talked about how they fund through the incubators. The other Government of India schemes from DST, from so many other ministries, MeitY, in fact, MeitY has got a program only for Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. So there is a lot of funding from the government through these incubators, just like what SIDBI is doing, the other departments. So I feel a lot of entrepreneurs can take advantage. Again, we talk of awareness. 7 months before I joined these incubators, I had no clue that there was so much money. So for me, after coming into the incubator, I understand, wow, there is so much government money for startups. But at the same time, the money is for seed funding, it's limited. It is available. So I think, there is a lot of funding today from the government than before. And something more can be done. I'm not saying this is enough, but there's a lot of it available. Again, on the same awareness front, I think I don't know how many entrepreneurs know that these, many of these 900 incubators have the ability to give funding to the startups for prototyping, early stage funding.
Ajit, you said you came back, moved from tech and set up here. Obviously something attracted you to come back home as well, to get to ground zero. We won't get to the personal reasons, but on a professional level, what are the things that have worked? I'm not just saying this because we want to hear the good stuff, but there is good stuff, right? I mean, you can start studying after this, but there is good stuff around. I mean, that has helped, which is why we're having this conclave. The cities that were selected across to discuss MSME, there's a reason we're sitting in Belagavi. What were some of those reasons?
Well, the life in the tier 1 cities is very difficult.
I'll attest to that. I flew down from
so
Bombay.
I lived in Delhi, Bangalore, Pune, and all of these places, they're heavily crowded now, especially on the roads. So there's one reason to stay away from those cities now. And due to my dad's job, I have always lived outside Belgaum. So I kind of used to miss my city. May not be applicable to everybody, but now coming back to the true reason why you should be here is, one, you don't spend a lot of your time in the traffic. So you say at least 2 man hours per day, bare minimum, and you do the math for the year. So much of man hours you are saving. Then you get a lot of time to innovate. I mean, I moved back 10 years back, but in the rat race in Bangalore and other cities, you don't innovate. You just follow something which is thrown at you. You don't get the time to innovate actually. So here you get a peaceful time to innovate. You think of the gaps in the market and then try to build a product for it. So everything happens organically, the innovation, the process of building a company, and we all know organic is better. So because things are moving organically, you go into office, you innovating, you working, you putting in new effort, all of these things so happens organically. You may be a little slow compared to the rest of the world, the tier 1 cities, but then things are happening so organically that you're doing this is a long-term benefit. So it's not a short-term. So while initially you might find things very slow in the city, but then later on you'll start appreciating that slowness, which is actually not slow, it's the normal.
Actually, that's true. I mean, the slowness is the normal. It's just that the pace in some of the tier 1 cities has become dizzying almost. Lina, would you agree with the...
Yes, I do agree. Like here you can manage your time. That is very important. Like you can analyze, you can think, and you wouldn't have time to sit in any conclave in the panel discussion if you would be in Bangalore.
You won't make it. You wouldn't make it if it was in Bangalore.
Because reaching at the right time is we can reach anywhere in 15 minutes. Belgaum is such a place that we can reach anywhere, though we can catch up to the traffic and all. And actually, main thing is like that, as Prakash said about the retaining the talent. Now, many of the talents are rushing towards the metros. They are rushing towards Bangalore, Pune and all. Our mission, like my mission, was to retain these talents back to Belgaum. And Belgaum didn't have any biotech company. So my partner, my husband, is a scientist was a scientist in Bangalore. So in Biocon, and his dream was to start a industry in Belgaum and retain these talents. Get back those talents. You will not get any scientist, high-level scientists working in Belgaum some years back, but now you have scientists, you have labs. So that adds on like.
And it's been easy to expand. I mean, you said you started one company, then you came in with Alkazim.
It was very difficult. We first didn't get land. And
we're back to land. And we're back to land.
We were like, I think so, we have stood outside the DIC office for very long with forms and papers requesting for a land, and very difficultly, because many of the KIDB areas, especially in Auto Nagar and Udyambag, it's been turned into resident. The area which has been allotted for industries, it is completely gone into domestic. That was a major issue with Belgaum. But right now, government has tried many things. They are checking each and every industries, like whether they have utilized that for industry or domestic. So, in the distribution of the land was not given properly initially when we started. Right now, there is many developing industrial area in Kittur and Kannagla. So we have the right pattern, right cutoff. Like these are the things which we have to supply to the industrialists and MSMEs.
I want to come to you, Prakash, to ask you if one had to become globally competitive from Belagavi, is it possible today?
Of course possible, why not? And I think many are doing it already. But I would like to quickly touch upon the credit part, because what I stated was only half the story. I am the beneficiary of most of the schemes of SIDBI myself. We have about 8 companies in our group, and 5 of them are purely funded by CGT MSE and Mudra and these schemes. We started with 3 lakh, and every year as we were growing and we were feeling we need more capital, the CGT MSE limit was also going. And just last year, I remember I was sitting with the manager thinking that 2 crore is the limit and we will have to go out of CGT MSE. Just then we heard it is limit been extended to 5 CR. So thank you SIDBI, because indirectly we are using all the schemes that you have, and thank you so much for all the initiatives that you're taking directly and indirectly. So being competitive, I think that was the primary reason why we moved to Belgaum. We were operating from Bangalore and we were there for about 10 years. 2002 I started, and 2012 we shifted. So 10 years we were in Bangalore. Neither our customers nor our vendors were localized in Bangalore. So we were procuring a lot of components and other raw materials from across the country. We were selling across the country and exporting. So we didn't see a real need for us to be in Bangalore, and it was only challenges that we were seeing in terms of growing the infrastructure and hiring talent and being able to pay them as an MSME. So we saw it more meaningful to come to a second 2-tier city, and Belgaum was the obvious choice, being my hometown. And we have really seen that benefit after coming to Belgaum. We were able to quickly expand on our infrastructure. We were able to get our initial talent be happy because most of them were from this region. So that gave us a control on our capital expenditure. It gave us a control also on our operating costs. But in terms of quality of the product and what we were doing, we continued because we had that inherent competency to cater to global clients.
Yeah.
So a given product I'm able to now manufacture at a cost that is lesser than what I would perhaps be able to do in a place like Bangalore.
Okay.
So that gives me a distinct advantage of being competitive and at the same time access the global markets.
You know, we're running out of time, and we've got another address coming up and dinner and networking, and I'm sure all of you have a lot of questions as well to the panel. So, Mr. Nagari, before we step down, I just wanted to ask you, as we were talking about ET does MSME awards as well, do you see the participation number from Belagavi going up in those nominations as years go by? And in new industries, not just in the old.
Morning, they told about that. So definitely we will participate in that.
So we hope to see a large number of names and
definitely.
nominations when it comes to the MSME.
Because a lot of very good industries are there in Belgaum. A lot of exporters are there in Belgaum. So definitely we have to.
It's a lot more.
Belgaum has been producing a lot of after Bangalore, Belgaum is highest for engineering exports. Belgaum is known for its engineering exports. And as Prakash mentioned, a lot of companies are globally competitive and they are supplying to some of the top-notch companies globally, not only in engineering, also in aviation, in hydraulics, in all the fields basically. So Belgaum has huge potential basically when it comes to that.
We were one of the award recipients in 2018 as the most tech-savvy company of the year, and one more company from Belgaum. So there were two companies in the same year this award we had got. So I'm sure we will have a good participation.
And even we have received 2 awards from SIDBI for Best Woman Entrepreneur from last 2 years.
Wow. So, as I started by saying, obviously a star-studded panel, and I'm sure, Karthik, you're also looking at more and more startups from this region as well to put more money in. So we'll be hearing a lot more. Thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you.
A lot more coming up. Over back to you, Anisha.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Because these experiences would be ones that perhaps you have also mirrored in your experience. I would request Anupriya to please present mementos to our speakers. We are grateful to them for coming here and sharing their views so candidly with the audience. So I request you to please present a memento to Ms. Leena B. Padihari. Okay, we'll go with Mr. Ajit Patil first. Memento and Akshay Patra certificate for Ms. Leena B. Padihari. Right, one for Mr. C.C. Hondakatti. Oh, Mr. Prakash Mugali is next. One for Mr. C.C. Hondakatti. A memento and certificate for Dr. Karthik Sankaran. Certificate for Dr. Sachin Sabnis. Thank you all. I request you to please come forward for a group photograph. Round of applause for all our speakers on stage. We all hope that your ventures fly higher and all the new milestones you set for yourself are achieved soon. Patil was speaking about how mothers force feed their kids, and Anupriya spoke about her real life experience. But Mr. Patil, mothers take the effort to feed the kids, not the neighbor's kids. Okay, so you have to have a threshold. You will get what you want. You got to show up with the least. That's something that you have to do. So we're coming to this part of the evening, which is going to be super interesting because you will get a chance to ask all your questions of all the, the sea of ignorance that you've been wading through and all the knowledge that you've got today. If any questions you have, you will get a chance to get those answered. For the final session of this evening, please put your hands together and welcome on stage our next speaker, Mr. T. Kulasekaran, AGM SIDBI, to deliver insights on SIDBI's schemes and offerings for MSMEs. We've already heard three validate the offerings and the benefits they have got from SIDBI so far. For all of you who haven't done so far, taken up their offers, now's the chance. Mr. Kulasekaran will tell you all about the schemes that SIDBI is offering for MSMEs. So please put your hands together and welcome him on stage. This will be followed by an open house where you can ask all your questions to SIDBI team. So please welcome Mr. T. Kulasekaran, AGM SIDBI, on the stage for his address.
All of you. I am from Hubli branch, AGM, as a branch in charge. Now I will run through the schemes of, I'll run through the PPT where important products of SIDBI, mainly of term loan products, that I will run through. Quickly I will run through. Just please. This is SIDBI's presence. SIDBI's head office is at Lucknow, and we have 3 zonal offices and 12 regional offices. All India, we have 97 branches. Branches in Karnataka, Bangalore South, Pune, Mysore, Hubballi, and now today from onwards, Belagavi also. We are into mainly the term loan products or like machinery, funding, project funding, green finance, and working capital. See, among these machinery loans, our attractive products are this speed scheme and express schemes. Both are quick deliverables and mainly for machinery loans. For existing units, this can be processed at a very faster rate, maybe in a day or two. Like that, the project loan also, that ARISE scheme is there. That is for the existing units, those who are already having 3 years balance sheet and all. And this Stapan scheme is for the greenfield projects. It will take 15 days a time. Then green finance loan. Green finance scheme is the new energy efficiency scheme where green buildings are covered and energy efficiency, machinery or any projects can be covered. Then the 4E scheme is also the same one and a different variant which is having different interest rates and all different. Working capital also we are providing, that normal working capital we are providing to our existing customer who have availed term loan. And this SWIFT loan is a recent latest product. It is a straight through process for working capital purpose. The first loan is that SIDBI Speed scheme. This is for mainly for purchase of equipment, and for all MSME units they are eligible. It is 100% financing based on 25% FDR scheme. So generally for any machinery or any funding, bankers expect 25% margin. So that we are converting it into FD and we don't ask any collateral, and we are offering interest rate for that FD also. 100% financing we are doing for all the machineries. And under promoters contribution model also we are doing the same 25% you have to bring, and balance 75% is being funded as a term loan. And for already those who have purchased machineries out of their own funds, we are also making reimbursement to restore their liquidity. For construction, dies and molds under the schemes are not available. Those are covered under the project loans. Basic eligibility is minimum 3 years in existence, cash profit, and new to bank also we are considering, and standard due diligence norms like CIBIL scores and CMR. The rate of interest is based on the MCLR based, and repayment tenor is maximum 7 years with a moratorium of 12 months. It's a quick sanction, we can give within a week's time or even within 3 to 4 days. This is one of the best scheme for those who are going for expansion and all. This is express scheme, and this is a totally new scheme which can be sanctioned overnight and without contactless. Branch ko aana hi nahi padega, you can get the scheme within 24 hours disbursed. Using the straight through process, SIDBI has totally digitized. Once you borrower has to lodge the application from their end, the next day it will be get automatically inverted and sanction will be conveyed immediately. And after making the visit, we will be disbursing the loan. It's a very fast loan. Here, in principle decision is given, automatically evaluated, 100% financing, promoters contribution model also is there. For this, the same criteria, minimum 3 years existing units can avail, mandatory Udyam registration, GST registration, and standard CIBIL due diligence. This is also MCLR based rate of interest. Here it is 5 years repayment period. EMI based repayment is also allowed. Quick sanction and disbursement made. This is array scheme. It is fully of project loans where land building and machineries are involved. This can be done within a week's time or maximum 15 days. So brownfield means 3 years balance sheet. Those who are having the existing units can be given loan for expansion of businesses. Any modernization or any capital expenditure for purchase of machinery, even building also can be considered. Promoters contribution model is available. Here it is 20% of the project cost as a promoters contribution. Here minimum 2 years operation is eligible. Cash profits for the last audited balance sheet 1 year cash profit is allowed, and standard CIBIL due diligence normal. Here our interest rate is based on MCLR based. Repayment maximum period is 7 years with a moratorium of up to 2 years we can give. Here term loan up to 50 crore we can allow, maximum of 80% of the project cost. This is for greenfield projects, a new entrepreneur who is starting the business. This is the project loan called Stapan. Here for land, civil construction, plant and machinery, entire project can be funded under this scheme. Attractive rate of interest, quick sanction. Here eligibility is the new eligibility, new entities or greenfield projects we can say. Promoters should have minimum 5 years experience, and for loans above 5 crore. For up to 5 crores, promoters contribution and should have minimum 3 years experience. Promoters contribution is 25%. Standard CIBIL due diligence and all. Interest rate again, it is under MCLR based. Repayment period is again 7 years. Up to 50 crore, subject to a maximum of 70% of the project cost can be considered. This is green finance scheme. It's for any renewable projects or this solar, hydro project, energy efficiency, cleaner productions, all these can be covered under this green finance. Here the rate of interest is little attractive. All the ESCOs, RESCOs and all MSMEs are eligible under this scheme. Interest rate again, it's MCLR based. Maximum repayment period is 10 years. Up to 20 crores we can consider for MSMEs. 50 crores for service providers like ESCOs and RESCOs. This is the 4E finance scheme. Here we are funding for all the energy efficiency machinery can be covered under this 4E schemes. This is also quick sanction, and we have a simpler dispensation model and detailed appraisal also. Here we can do it. Here the rate of interest is that repo linked base. Repo rate based on the repo rate plus or minus your rating, that credit spread is applied. So here in this scheme most of the projects are covered. When compared to other banks, our rate of interest under this scheme is very attractive. And maximum term loan is 7 point. Here maximum loans, here we don't take any collateral. We don't insist for any collateral. Without collateral, we are taking that FD model, 25% FD we are taking, whatever we are bringing the FD portion, that we are treating it as an security. We offer interest for that also. It's a very quick dispensation. This is normal working capital. Those who are availed a term loan, we can consider working capital additionally. For standalone, we could not do. For those who are our customer, existing term loan customer, we are considering this working capital limit also. This is a straight through process, latest, recently introduced working capital limit, OD limit, under the arrangement with the CUB and other IDBI banks. We have a tie-up with the other banks. So we are considering this as a quick product under working capital. Arjana, this is woman entrepreneur scheme. Here the same, it is a term loan product. Here the rate of interest is MCLR. All other things are same. All MSMEs are eligible. 50% of the credit guarantee scheme fee is borne by SIDBI for the women entrepreneurs under this scheme. Other things are same. This is for the scheme for particularly SC/ST. New scheme introduced by SIDBI. Here the same thing, 50% credit guarantee fees is borne by SIDBI. All other things are same. This is a new product, fully completely digitized, and no, I need not meet any borrowers. They can lodge their application from their home or anywhere. It will reach my computer and I will allocate to my officers. Within a week's time, it will be done. We will come and meet you during the pre-sanction visit. That's all. You need not come to our office. Sanction will reach you. You have to sit and do the documentation from your place based on that Aadhaar OTP and NASL OTP. Then from there itself, you can send your request. We will directly release the payment to the supplier. Later on, once the machinery comes, we will meet. That's all. It's a more or less contactless, fully digitized, end to end. Thank you.
So I see the audience has been, have kept their questions close to the chest so far. But Mr. Kulachekaran is here, and of course the entire SIDBI team is here. If you have any questions, please raise your hands, please stand and go ahead and ask your questions. A mic will come to you and you can ask your questions to the SIDBI team. Questions? Anyone here? सब कुछ समझ आ गया. बस यही इंतज़ार है कि कार्यक्रम ख़त्म हो और हम सिडबी वालों से बात करें. आप क्यों खड़े हैं रास्ते में? Anything that you want to ask to the SIDBI team here, something that could be of benefit to the others, if it's a question to you but could benefit the others. Yes, we have a question coming.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Earlier, one of the speakers mentioned that is a matchmaking portal between an investor and a fund seeker, right? I just escaped that name of that portal. Can you please enlighten us?
So would you like to answer? We're just getting you a mic, Mr. Mandal.
Sure.
And this is, you're talking about the portal for the startups, right?
It's called the Investor Connect portal of DPIIT. So just Google it, you will get it. Investor Connect portal.
Name of the portal is Investor Connect portal. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir.
Those are for the startups. Any other questions regarding the working capital loan schemes, the equipment loan schemes. We see one hand up there.
Madam, for new entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs, what is the minimum eligibility to take the loans for startup in industries? And what about the land acquisition loan to start the industry?
Can you tell your project? See, women
Land acquisition करने के लिए न्यू वुमेन एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को क्या एलिजिबिलिटी होना चाहिए, मिनिमम एलिजिबिलिटी क्या क्राइटेरिया होना चाहिए टू स्टार्ट द इंडस्ट्री?
न्यू इंडस्ट्रीज.
यस यस.
शी शुड हैव सम प्रोडक्ट, मतलब क्या करना चाहती है उसका कुछ प्रोजेक्ट डिटेल्स होना चाहिए. Then we will customize the project and we will handhold and we will sanction.
If they have the project report, everything they have means, but they didn't work on that industry, but they have the project report and the how to start everything.
We will see that experience होने से हम लोग दे देंगे.
Yes, experience means what?
क्या करना चाहता है, जो प्रोडक्ट जो कर रहे हैं ना उसमें रिलेवेंट एक्सपीरियंस चाहिए.
So if they may not have experience in the industry as an entrepreneur, but they should have some experience. Otherwise, if they are getting into that product, on what is their competence there?
Okay.
So वो थोड़ा सा होना चाहिए. और उसके अलावा फिर then there is lot of process we will handhold for the other things.
Yes, okay. Second one thing, for land acquisition, is there loan facilities available?
Land acquisition, not only for land acquisition. So if it's a part of the overall project, so you have land, building and machinery, everything, then we take land. But if you are taking only for land acquisition, then see, it's not as if that you have to start immediately, but you should have a plan that you are going to start construction within 3 months or 4 months kind of a thing.
If it is a part of the industry, if it is a part of the project, the land acquisition is part of the project, then it is eligible.
Yes, see, because as a financial institution for the SMEs, I can finance setting up of enterprises, correct? तो अगर वो एंटरप्राइज सेटअप हो रहा है जहाँ पे लैंड एक कंपोनेंट होगा, उसके ऊपर आप बिल्डिंग बनाएंगे, प्लांट एंड मशीनरी लाएंगे, पूरी फैक्ट्री लगाएंगे, तो वो एंटरप्राइज बनता है. उसके लिए हम लोन दे सकते हैं. प्योर लैंड एक्विजिशन, उससे कोई एंटरप्राइज क्रिएट नहीं होता है, तो उसके लिए हम लोन नहीं दे सकते.
No, that is part of, if it is part of the
If it is part of the project, yes, it is considered for financing.
Yes, thank you.
We got more questions coming up. The one here in the front rows as well.
I have one industry which is biocode industry, and I want to start one more project which minimum 2 acres. So just wanted to check whether that is it compulsory that we should have that industrial NA for minimum 2 acres of industry.
I didn't get your question. Is it compulsory what?
Industrial NA.
No, it's not necessary to be industrial area, but
Okay.
it should be for non-agricultural person, it should be converted.
Converted.
Yeah.
Okay.
So land should be converted
Okay.
for non-agricultural purposes.
Okay, sir.
It need not necessarily be industrial area. It should not be any area where it is industrial activity is restricted.
Fine, sir, fine. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I request you to please identify yourself also. Tell us your name and your company's name.
Good evening, sir. This is Sandeep Bhagavadi from Biva Industries and the Secretary for Small Scale Industries. The one question which I want to ask is the working capital. If I am banking with, if I am having with other banking, so how I can go with additional working capital with SIDBI?
Working capital, I think you will have to bank with one bank only.
Okay.
So if you want to come from there, you will have to come totally with us. So additional working capital means you can, if you want enhanced portion, some enhanced working capital sanction, that can be looked at based on your financials.
Okay. And how about the transition? If I want to go back from other banking to SIDBI?
So transition means you will have to come with your term loan and working capital both.
Okay.
So not only working capital. Sir.
See, I would suggest that these individual, queries you can handle one-on-one.
Okay.
Right? If it is more for the benefit of the rest of the people, then you can ask in this forum. Otherwise, you can always visit our branch. अभी बेलगांव में branch हो गया है. Offline आप discuss कर सकते हैं.
Okay. Thank you,
आपका
sir.
individual requirement है, इसलिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ. But yes, you can get a working capital from SIDBI. Both fresh working capital or additional top-up facility.
So one general question, your rate of interest, is it varies for different entities or almost it is same? How much it will be the rate of interest?
Can I ask you a counter question?
Yeah, tell me, sir. Yes, sir. If,
Is the credit risk same for everybody?
yeah.
Yes, no?
No, no.
No.
Yeah.
Then interest rate can't be same for everybody, no?
Yeah.
So depending on your credit risk perception,
Credit, not
the
only, I'm
interest,
not asking about credit, for different entities because working capital or
different loan products.
loan products.
Huh.
That I
It will be naturally be different. It will depend on the tenor, it will depend on the nature of the product.
Yeah.
Right? For example, for some of the green schemes that we have, since that is a priority area, you will get a concessional rate there.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Even for women entrepreneurs, for SCST entrepreneurs, we have some concessions available.
For
So even
startup,
for women entrepreneurs or SCST entrepreneurs, we have some
for
concessions.
startups,
Startups, once again, startup in the startup thing or a new entrepreneur,
totally new.
totally new entrepreneur. If it is a woman entrepreneur totally, it's available. SCST entrepreneur totally, it's available.
Yes, thank you.
Just a word of caution. Let us use the word startup carefully. Okay? Startup is something which is a startup registered with DPIIT. There is a definition for startups. Right?
Or you mean to say it's a startup as
Yeah.
defined by
Right? Because for startups, the way it is defined, there is a different scheme of venture debt which I had mentioned during my address. Okay?
Good evening to all of you.
रिस्क ज़्यादा रहता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड स्टार्टअप. एक्चुअल स्टार्टअप मीन्स वही मीनिंग है. अभी जनरली हम यूनिट स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं बोले तो स्टार्टअप आ जाता है, मेरे पास भी आते हैं. मैं उनको सबको बोलता हूँ स्टार्टअप हैज़ अ डिफरेंट मीनिंग विच द प्रोडक्ट इज़ नॉट टेस्टेड एंड कमर्शियलाइज्ड. वो मार्केट में नहीं है, नए प्रोडक्ट है, वो नई चीज़ है, तो उसके लिए स्टार्टअप, दैट इज़ द मीनिंग. जस्ट आई वांट टू.
Good evening, sirs. I am Srinivasan from Siddhi Ganesh Trading. Actually, this is also on behalf of my daughter and for many other girls. If someone wants to start a product or manufacture a product in collaboration, suppose with CFTRI, Mysore, for defense, for supplying to the defense department, like frozen foods, etc., etc., and which will be made by the technology will be given by CFTRI, and also other defense products which in engineering, etc., etc. Now the liaison with the government department, supposing a small MSME starts, finds it very difficult to find out whom to contact, what to do. I don't know, maybe from SIDBI or from our MSME office. Is there any helping hand for giving guidance how to go about it? Because there is a lot of talent in India, but only thing is the marketing portion of it. And since the government has started that website for supply of items, so in that, how is there that liaison and that hand holding? Is it possible from any of the departments, please? Thank you.
As far as we are concerned, so first let me take that question of your talking about defense, you're wanting to supply to defense. I don't know very well, but I have been interacting with HAL and BEL, and they say they have their portal or a website where the products that they want are already listed, which they want MSMEs to manufacture for them. So those are already listed, and then they have a full set of processes to go through, the product approval and all those things happen. Once they approve, they will empanel you or they will give you an order. So That
vendor approval.
so that's a vendor approval process there. So, but they have the products listed which they want now to indigenize and get it manufactured by MSMEs or any manufacturer based in India.
The HAL is a particular, I am not talking of one particular establishment. Generally, like defense sector has been opened up and it is a huge market for new SMEs and startups and all, for small products, etc., etc. Now, for that, like small things like drone and etc., small like boys who do electronics and all, who are good at it, maybe they may go through that, but then they don't know whom to contact, what to do, how to show off their
Ask
talent.
them to come to our branch, sir. We will hand over, we will guide them to
for smaller,
thank you so much. That is the answer.
So for smaller entrepreneurs, we are making a beginning. We've already made a beginning by having Swavalamban Seva Kendras.
Okay.
Okay. We are opening slowly across India. So there will be counselors available who will handhold the MSME entrepreneurs into all.
Oh, that is a great step. Thank you so much, sir.
And I also mentioned about IDEX in my address, so you can go to their website and check that out.
Sir, namaste.
I mentioned about IDEX in my address. You can go to their website and check it out. They are engaging with the startups and MSMEs who can potentially supply products to the defense forces.
So I would like to add some point to you. And there is a policy called public procurement policy, which is introduced by Ministry of MSME. In that, it is mandatory for any government departments to procure from MSEs. 25% procurement has to be done through MSEs. Out of the 25%, 4% needs to be done from SCST entrepreneurs and 3% needs to be done from women entrepreneurs. So that is mandatory and it is directly getting the data from PMO office. Every month we are sending the data, how much we are procuring through MSEs. That is the one thing. And second thing, whatever you need to supply, small things as you said, that is for all the government departments, that procurement is done through GEM portal only. Even from small pin to big car, we are going through GEM portal only. So if you want to register in the GEM portal, you can come to our office, we'll help you out as a vendor, because many MSMEs are contacting us and we are helping them to register in the GEM portal. So if you are having any difficulty in registering the GEM portal, just come to our office, we'll help you out. That is not an issue. If you have any doubts with the schemes also, you can come also, no issues.
Sir, namaste. Sir, can I share my experience of SIDBI?
Sure.
Okay. I am an entrepreneur, approached Hubli branch, and the service provided by them is very excellent and non-corrupt this thing. So everybody can expect 100% if your project is a viable and bankable, everybody can expect the very good support from SIDBI. This is my personal opinion.
Thank you.
Good evening. This is Pradeep from Anek Technologies Private Limited in Belgaum. We have an award-winning product which we have. It's a service-based industry. It's a platform for this thing. So I just wanted to know that as a startup, as a DPIT certified, India Startup certified, and Karnataka Elevate winner, we wanted. It's a service-based product. So we just wanted to know that whether the service-based this thing did SIDBI provides any Aspire a product is there from SIDBI. From there, can we avail any funds for our product?
See, the startup financing that we do through the FFS, Fund of Funds for Startups, that is sector agnostic, right? So SIDBI does not invest directly in the startups. As I mentioned, it is a fund of funds, so it follows a mother-daughter concept. I invest in the funds of AIFs, who in turn invest in the startups, right? So if you are interested in attracting funding, I mentioned about the Investor Connect portal. So one way of doing that is you can register on the Investor Connect portal, put up your pitch deck, depending on whether the investor's investment thesis matches with your activity, they will get in touch with you. Alternatively, you can get in touch with our venture capital vertical in Delhi. Okay, Satiki can share the coordinates with you. There is one Mr. S.P. Singh who is the CGM heading the venture finance vertical. He can then put you in touch with various investors who are active in this sector.
Is it necessary or is it compulsory that we need to go along with the incubators like Deshpande Foundations to get the SIDBI?
No, it depends on what stage you are. If you are a very seed stage, early stage startup, then yes, you perhaps will be benefited if you go through an incubation center, because they will be able to provide you that hand-holding. Okay. But if you have crossed that stage, you have a commercial product.
Yeah.
Right?
Commercial viable product is already there.
Then you need not go through the incubation center. You don't need their hand-holding support.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
हेलो, नमस्ते सर। मेरा नाम शंकर है, मैं बालकोट से आया हूँ, बालकोट डिस्ट्रिक्ट से। एक कर्नाटका स्टेट का एक गाइडलाइंस है सर, टेक्सटाइल डिपार्टमेंट से। इसमें रिसेंटली एक 68 प्रपोजल्स अप्रूवल हुआ है गवर्नमेंट से, टेक्सटाइल न्यू यूनिट्स, न्यू सेटअप हैं। अगर इसमें कुछ लोगों के लिए कोलेटरल का प्रॉब्लम है, यहाँ पे आप कोलेटरल कितने % तक आप कवर करते हैं? अगर 2.70.
Up to 5 crore we are considering without collateral.
Without collateral.
CGT MSME. You submit the project, we will scrutinize and we will give.
Okay. New projects के लिए sir.
Greenfield project.
Okay. Thank you sir. Thank you.
सर नमस्ते, मैं इलकल से आया हूँ। सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है आपके लिए। मैं यहाँ हुबली ब्रांच से सोलार के लिए लोन ले लिया हूँ। अभी हम अब तक बिजनेस किया ग्रेनेड का बिजनेस में हम कोऑपरेटिव बैंक पे लोन ले रहा था, मगर उधर रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट ज़्यादा होता था, उसमें भी बिजनेस किया। अभी ये फर्स्ट में मैं सिडबी में लोन ले लिया। अभी मेरा एक रिक्वेस्ट है, आप ओडी के लिए क्यों लोन नहीं कर सकते?
करते हैं ना सर, करते हैं। ओडी अगर आप दूसरे बैंक में ओडी रखा है तो नहीं कर सकते हैं। आप एक एंटरप्राइजेस के लिए एक बैंक से लोन ले सकते हैं ओडी।
सर आपके अभी हमारा इधर कोऑपरेटिव में बैंक में ओडी है अभी। अभी आपको सोलार पे सिडबी में ले लिया, दोनों जगह में हो गए तो मुश्किल हो सकता है।
एक रिक्वेस्ट है, आपको कुल सेकंड से सेपरेटली इसके बारे में
थैंक यू।
अब मैं बोल दे रहा हूँ, अभी टर्म लोन लिया ना, आप यूटिलाइज करो, नेक्स्ट दे देंगे।
ओके सर, ओके, थैंक यू सर।
Right. Huge round of applause for the SIDBI team for patiently answering all the questions that they have answered. Please feel free to reach out to them. If you want to ask any more questions on a one-on-one basis, we have dinner that follows next, and you will have an opportunity to network here. I would like to thank Mr. Rastogi and Mr. Mandal, and I would request Mr. Kulashekharan to please come back on stage. I would request Ms. Shalini Kulia, AVP, Economic Times, to present a memento and an Akshay Patra certificate to Mr. T. Kulashekharan. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your presentation, sir, and thank you for answering all the questions. Please feel free to reach out to him if you have any questions. We would like to thank all of you, all of our esteemed speakers, for coming here, taking the time out and attending the conclave today. And we want to thank all our participants who represent Karnataka's MSME ecosystem. Kudos to all the entrepreneurs gathered here. Kudos to your entrepreneurial spirit, appetite for risk, and determination to win. We wish you all the success in the world. We hope you found this a valuable knowledge sharing and enabling experience, and we wish you all the very best. Do follow economictimes.com for more such MSME focused initiatives, and I would like to invite everybody to join us for dinner and use this opportunity to connect with all your friends and peers here. Thank you.